work in pieces as you deconstruct him to optimal capacities for each of the functions while dehumanizing him. Like,
hey guys, I'm
sorry.
I'm starting this off in proper retard fashion. I forgot to hit the go live button. So that was all practice. But it's all right. We already recorded, and we'll just pick it up from where we started. Again,
what we were saying is that John is dead, but he's not resting in peace.
He's resting in power.
In power, you actually really very much similar to what Luke was saying, and really, no, I think that's fine right there.
All right.
Anyway,
So,
fuck John.
I think
He's dead. We have to bring him up every time because he's not here.
yeah.
Point out that he's not here. We need to point out that he's dead because it accomplishes something for the podcast. I
also just lack object permanence, and so if I can't see any of you, I just assume you're gone forever. Fuck, where did Dorian die? So let's do some introductions real quick because that didn't make it to the live stream. Which again, sorry folks, I have brain worms, and when something like John not showing up happens, I lose all functionality of my appendages, and I forget to hit the buttons and make it go. And really, what I should do is probably just like pre-program all this to my cool little like macro keyboard that I have now, but I don't put enough effort into this, and that's on me, guys. And this is a new year, a new me, and I'm gonna change. Anyways, this is episode 100, the 100 episode special. It is Christmas in JUULy. That's a reference to the smoking device, not Jews. Though we may talk about Israel
Jews
later.
Behind it.
I am joined by two Father Christmases. I'm gonna make that joke a second time. Luke from Deluz and Dragons, and Danko Suvin from @DankDeluz. Two Deluz scholars. Two people who look so similar that when they were posting their individualized Yes Chad memes, I thought that one of them was mimicking the other, but no, it turns out they just nearly identical people.
We are one.
Not helping that they're both wearing beanies now.
We are multiple.
This is a difference. This is a whole point of different repetition is difference. So
yeah,
we know as Deluz suits, we know this.
Right. I'm actually planning on reading that soon. Starting next week, along with Hunter Biden's memoir. So a combination of those two things may leave me completely brain damaged for the rest of my life. But
guess which one of these was my idea for us to read? Not the Deluz.
The Deluz scholar did not make us start reading the Deluz book that I'd like to read.
The more important and probably more honest form of scholarship that Luke and I have done probably has to do with Lovecraft, frankly.
Which is much closer to Hunter Biden, of course.
Yes.
Than Deluz.
Yes. He might be. He could very well be a deep one. I mean, he's too handsome. He is, but
see,
his father's eternal.
Yeah, so I think I was linking it much more to the power discourse surrounding his choice of signifiers is rather Lovecraftian.
I was thinking, I mean, the deep one was the easy way to just kind of gesture it, but I would not be surprised, and in fact, I am entirely convinced that he is part of the real life version of the thing on the doorstep, right?
Yeah, so I think that skips a long way from deep ones, like.
Yeah. I mean, all part of the same mythos. They do connect, and a big part of it has to do with this attempt at immortality, right?
Well, a connecting conflict though, which is I would say the movement.
Right.
I'm sorry, like this is running away, and maybe this is for a different conversation, but it's a movement between in to have done with judgment, the movement between combat and war. I would say the deep ones are constantly engaged in combat, which is going to be singularities, whereas war is always going to be a totalitarian process. And I think the thing at the doorstep, it's a totalizing fact or factor.
This reminds me a lot of Harry Potter, how the...
now, I'm laughing because I'm out of my depth now. I'm not... I don't know anything. I know about HPL. I know nothing about HP. Other than hit points, because
good trade.
I actually don't know where I was going to go with the Harry Potter thing, so thanks for bailing me out. I won't explain it to you because you wouldn't understand it.
No, I wouldn't. And that said, I am here to learn, and really, I'm not actually quite sure why I'm here, but thanks.
You're here because we like you and we think you're cool. But we have a great show, everyone. And Danko, I see you want to say something. But I do have to get this out of the way. It's our 100th episode, and I know I've promised over and over again that, the Benzo Rehab Dungeon, it's free. We don't do ads or anything like that. But today we do have a sponsor, and they've actually sent a representative to us. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that representative in. Yeah, okay. It looks like they're joining.
Oh no!
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, boys.
All right. So here's our sponsor for today. It's the Mujahideen.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
We've been fans for so long.
Yeah. How are you doing today, sir?
Summer 2022 is awesome.
Yeah, things are going pretty well for you, actually. Yeah.
Is it? Hold on. Quick question. I assume yes, which is why I'm so excited. But for y'all, is cream pie summer still on?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was never off for them.
Last summer, the summer before that.
That's very dark.
Only gay guys wear condoms. They wear condoms, keep all the shit out of their dick.
How are things going in 1980s Afghanistan?
Pretty good, man. I since this is the 100th episode, I found some jokes I think that would be pretty fitting.
Yeah,
number jokes. Why is the number 9 so sassy?
Why is the number 9 so sassy?
Yeah, I don't know. Tell us.
Because she can't even. It's not an even number.
Yeah, I get it. That's good.
This is pretty good.
Okay,
What's next?
Why did the 2 4s skip a meal?
They ate.
They already ate?
Yeah, got it. All right.
I feel like already fucks up the joke a little bit, right?
I blew my wad real quick. Yeah, if you have like a grasp of basic addition, these jokes.
I do. I'm the one on the podcast with the basic arithmetic skills.
I feel like an asshole.
That's the only reason you feel like an asshole. That's good.
I learned my lesson last time not to paint my face.
Yeah, so, that took a long time to come out, didn't it?
There's still red paint in the tub.
and so instead of doing the permanent thing of painting your face, you've done the very non-permanent thing of going to Afghanistan and joining the Mujahideen.
Yeah, it's fighting season, baby.
Wait. Isn't the whole point here that how can it be permanent? Because isn't this a time travel scenario where this exists at some other location in a temporal diagram? So the permanence isn't coming into play.
You make a good point.
Oof.
You do make a very good point.
No, I don't. I don't make any.
No. Well, I mean, but it becomes redundant the more you think about it, just in the sense that any statement of permanence is arbitrary, right? But
we can talk about the difference between permanence we can talk about the difference between permanence and presentism, but that's probably fucking up these very cool arithmetic jokes. So
that's it. I'm going to let them settle.
Oh yeah,
worked up on the first 2.
Are you going to let them settle, or did your nephew run out?
No. He doesn't know a lot during summer break.
Are you eating American canned chili out of a mug?
No, it's really thick kratom tea.
Oh, okay.
Good.
The consistency of chili.
You ran out of opium.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's a good opium substitute.
Yeah.
What do you think I'm over here?
But I do want to rewind really quickly back to the intros that we were doing.
Yeah.
And I've done this before in different formats, but I feel like I need to do it every time because Luke is always so kind to me. And I would only ever do nice things to people that are nice to me. As soon as someone's mean to me, I have to murder them. But Luke is actually, so Dungeons and Deleuze and Dragons and Dungeons and Deleuze and all these permutations were actually one of the things that inspired me to start up my dumbass meme page. Initially was seeing Luke's stuff elsewhere and being like, oh, that's fun. Too bad I don't know why I was thinking. People always think you can't make a meme or something, or at least it's how I felt. I was just like, this is a picture and it's funny. And it's like looking at stand-up comedians and being like, I could never do that. When everyone's funny. No, that's not true. But anyway, blame Luke. It's Luke's fault.
Yeah, and Luke, you're allowed to cry at this messy honorable mention.
Don't. I'll lose respect for you.
We highly value emotion on this channel, and we want real emotions to come into play.
Unfortunately, due to like a capitalist pessimism rather than realism, and decades at this point of alcohol abuse, I don't have that level of emotion left. Like it was a very small period in the mid 2000s, singing in a screamo band where I could weep, and my eyeliner would, move through my tiny little beard. But yeah, no, I don't have any emotion left. And for Danko, for Danko to cast this blame, I would say if this is a negative for him, well, I'm just going to affirm this as part of my becoming. And if the network of machines, of Danko machines, aren't happy, maybe go to psychotherapy. It's not going to help, but you'll. Oh, but, sorry, I didn't feel very good when you said I was only nice to you. I'm like, no, I'm a mean MILF. I'm like a sassy MILF.
Right. Yeah. If you want some real butterfly effect shit, Danko starting his pages. What I think led him to convince me that I should start a podcast and a page. So,
I had a circle of life experience today with Danko's page. It was the first time someone outside of this friend group sent me one of your memes.
Yes,
and I was like, oh
yes. Wow. What was it?
I don't know.
Some retard probably.
Yeah. Interrupted me jacking off or something, I bet.
Yeah.
I was hoping what you were going to say is you had a circle of life thing happen where you went back in time, joined the Mujahideen, and then ended up eventually convincing Luke to begin a meme page.
I like that. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, so
there you go.
All theory fictions eventually enter the real, which, as I think we were talking about in the pre-recording, that's just the structurally impossible becoming ontologically obvious. And that's clearly what's happened here. You can't see in the background, there are lemurs fucking everywhere, and they're all Mujahideen.
Bunch of AK-47s and lemur hands. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I've only made that meme with a Pomeranian, but that strikes me as quite close.
That's what we do often on this show is we make memes and then we have to talk while Danko is making the meme that we've come up with as a joke.
Yeah, look, as you know, I'm the #1 Benzo Rehab historian. I fucking
of course, yeah. I don't know why I'm explaining this to you. You probably remember more episodes than I remember.
Well, this is a terrible thing because I also get drunk while I listen to the episodes. Okay, so I'm not passive here. I'm not it's not just a flat line of intensity. I'm increasing. You're not
passive. This parasocial relationship is real.
So this, I don't think this is a hot take. What are we talking about? Parasocial. None of this is alongside. None of this is parallel to. This is the difference of, the plane of what's going on. do dumb shit delers and stuff. You know, the planar consistency in which sociality now adheres has nothing to do with anything but materialism, and materialism is just now happens to be fucking, you know, digital and cybernetic and cybernetic in this popular sense rather than the actual sense of cybernetics. So cybernetic, as I say, online, cyberpunk, etc., rather than cybernetic just in the sense of, you know, systems of control, which of course bleed into each other. Sorry, Deebs, I told you.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, we appreciate Unhinged here. So, real quick, we had to start moving through links, otherwise we'll be here all night. Which I'm not opposed to.
Hey, can I do one thing before we start though? Because I feel like people ignore this all the time. Hey, Dorian, how are you?
Oh yeah, we did forget to check in with each other.
I feel so bad for him all the time.
We ask him every day whether or not he's doing okay.
No,
he always wants to be first.
Yeah, but we let POC speak first.
Yeah,
on this channel.
As a white man, I understand his pain.
Yeah.
I mean, I give land acknowledgements to sign off all of my emails now. So, you know, I'm good. Thanks.
Could you imagine the land acknowledgements that Brad has to give now that he's in the Mujahideen? Speaking on the formerly held land of the tribal people of the Pashtun, the formerly held land of the former U.S. military.
Tiptoeing over here, and it's not just landmines.
Anyways,
Dorian,
please.
The cybernetic and land acknowledgements. Isn't that what sent from my iPhone really means?
Sent from the product of Chinese really slave labor.
Wow.
Yeah, good. We did it.
Wow. Shut it down, boys.
Yep.
Digital land acknowledgement.
You still haven't answered how you're doing, which this is why we don't.
I said I'm fine.
That's it.
Whatever. Who cares?
That's it. That's all we have. All right.
Which is
if you ask me, I don't have to build it up. You know, when someone gives a shit about me, I don't have to be a fucking drama queen.
But as my son, I will acknowledge you as my queen, which makes you the Yocasta now.
Hey,
Damn.
Queen, how are you?
That's you, Luke. You're the queen, I guess, or something. I don't know. The roles have changed so many times here.
Yeah. So no, it's something that I say. This is I'm absent because Deebs has already said that none of the guests showed up. So me being a guest indicates that I'm not here. And yeah, I would say this is only increasing my capacity to be a complete shit because the powers and aesthetic of the absence are infinitely, more exaggerated on this, what I say, a parasocial plane. So yeah, I'm unhinged and delighted. Deleuze meme, delighted.
Wonderful. And Phantom Snake Danzens, how are you doing? Don't think I didn't notice that name change.
Is that how I'm to refer to you as PST?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing very well.
That's good to hear.
Enjoying some time off. Still have another month and a half before classes start back up. So
wonderful.
I'm making the best of it.
I didn't realize that like the training camps had like an off season. So like, do they do the like monkey bars thing like one semester and then like the jumping over sandbags thing the next semester or what?
So next semester I'm signed up in crawling under barbed wire.
Ooh,
that's my focus. Yeah.
That's an elective, I hear.
Yeah, kind of easy semester, but yes.
Yeah. Well,
also,
good.
let's be clear. He's not PSD. Phantom, you actually you initialize that as PT.
Yeah, I don't think that's
so
true.
He's PTSD.
That's definitely not true, but I see what you did there. Very good.
But this speaks again to the powers of the absent, though. Like this is only increasing my earlier illusion.
Wow.
Or illusion, and I'm just going to reflect this. But something I want to know about, the crawling on a barbed wire. Is there a theory component to that as well? Or Is there a meta?
Yeah, it's like you have to stay at a good level, otherwise you get pricked, you know. So it's all about the subterfuge of guerrilla warfare, making sure you never become too prominent, otherwise you will be caught in the barbs of the social structure that exists above you.
Well, I also, complexity becomes concealment, right? And complexity allows for someone to kind of integrate with the wider kind of ontology, which we pretend to not be part of. Right? If you are imperceptible through complexity, through concealment and sedimentation, then it's difficult to be perceived. And so this is all actually Dan and his brothers attempting, and only brothers, attempting to get closer to a literal plane of imminence.
Yeah, wonderful.
Terribly, that makes sense to me.
No, it did to me too, but
I kind of meant what I said.
It's great, and we.
So he's talking about masks, and this is on like pages like 16 through 19 of difference and repetition in different words, but it's basically this. So this is sort of about how the death drive is actually the only positive rendition of repetition, and I can see how crawling under barbed wire would actually be the praxis of this, which flips my question back on me. Why aren't I crawling under barbed wire if I want to understand theory? I get it now. Holy shit. Yeah.
If you don't crawl under barbed wire in like the next week and I don't know, live stream it, then you're not doing praxis.
Wait. In this economy, you think that I can fucking just go out and get some barbed wire?
The barbed wire doesn't have to be yours. You can't tell me Australia doesn't have any barbed wire.
Sandbags?
I desperately need
spools, and you can get a spool for $50. Used to be able to. I don't know now what the price is.
$50.
If you think
How
I'm
many hours
spending
of work is that?
Yeah,
it's a lot.
$50 on barbed wire instead of gin. No, okay, I'm sorry.
It becomes the gin.
I cannot actually. Again, I can see how that. Okay, but both would be better.
Wait, are we talking about gin or Jim?
Gin, I believe.
I think
good.
gin.
That's
wait.
What I thought. But
what's Jim? Who is Jim?
I meant like
or Jim as in
gym,
a gym.
Like a gymnasium.
You use it to work out.
No. Going to a gym? No. That's hard.
These are readers, not gym rats.
Hey, I work out every day. I walk to the liquor store. I buy myself a bottle of scotch and a case of beer, and then I walk back.
This is every day.
Blocks. Oh, yeah, honestly.
Oh, buddy.
He's controlling his macros.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 100th episode of the Benzo Rehab Dungeon called Danko's Intervention. Anyways, we do have to get to some links.
I would like to intervene in this intervention. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
sorry,
please intervene. We don't actually want to have an intervention here.
I never want this to end.
Yeah. So
that is the first I've heard of this. Every other episode, you're like, take mine too, and then you're trying to fuck off from the first 12 minutes.
I think he kind of actually likes this. If I'm being honest.
Well, also, I'm a sneaky boy. So yeah. you never really genuinely know if I'm intending to stay or go by saying these things. It could all be reverse psychology.
What a sneaky guy. What a mysterious gentleman.
It sounds alien to me, and I'm disappointed. Sorry.
I need to say one thing that's bugging me more and more in a kind of a genuine way, which is that. So I don't know if this is part of the podcast that we lost due to us being idiots and not recording on time. I'm taking credit with you, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's not all
is a
your fault.
Weird term for me.
But Luke and I both use the same yes Chad icon essentially in memes because we're both bald, fucking red bearded fat guys.
If I didn't know the difference between your voices,
and we have glasses.
With glasses, right? And actually, almost all of this is an important a portion of this. But after seeing Luke wear his beanie, I realized that. So I used to wear a beanie all the time, and it's comforting. It's there's something about it squeezing your head that I like. So I had to grab mine, and then the longer I look at Luke as we speak, the more I remember things like these glasses I've had for like 5 fucking years, and my eyes get worse every fucking year, and I need to get them replaced. And every girl I've ever spoken to has said, your glasses are too fucking small on your face. They don't look right. You need to get bigger glasses. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get bigger glasses. I keep putting it off. And so I'm looking at him wearing those big old glasses. And I've also been, like trying to trim up the beard a little bit and look a little bit less like a hobo. And then I keep on looking over at Luke and being like, he does the mustache thing where usually I kind of push mine to the side, because I used to do a handlebar mustache. I would brush it to the side. And so that's kind of what I've gotten used to. And he does this thing where he has it brushed down and it's trimmed appropriately. And I think, oh, fuck, I need to start doing that. So all I'm saying is I'm going to kill Luke and steal his Antipodian body.
Well, I was also going to say, I think you're in the process of becoming right now.
Yes.
Yeah. You're becoming Luke, and Luke is becoming dead, I guess.
And I guess this in some sense, and I'm sorry, I know we need to get to some links, but I must respond to that because, and this is maybe a hyperstition, but until about 3 hours ago, my beard was much longer, my mustache was outrageous. I have shaved everything down, and now Danko noticing this. This is just me, preempting the death drive, but not as something that moves me towards an inanimacy, but to a becoming. So, Danko in some sense is saying, he's gonna kill his mom and his dad at the same time because, I've got all of the equipment for that. Plus, in some sense, you've already admitted to my sort of, genealogical relationship to your own shitposting. But, so I have just moved on this, and I'm not saying that I will live on, but there will be a becoming, and in this certain, if the encouragement here is just the fact that because of a nervous tick, I just gave myself an ill-advised beard trim, and now I get to just become oblivion, and you continue on with that. I don't see in any serious sense that stops what Deleuze and Dragons was up to.
Yeah, it's all just.
I also feel like,
right?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's not that a deep cut, but it's quite a deep cut. Yeah.
Thank you. By the way, join Trincata podcast.
We don't do ads Patreon, until the end.
Because that's if you've joined us, you would know what that's from.
Wonderful. All right.
Just saying. We read that. We
did.
We read that.
First link.
We read it.
Something we have to address. So it turns out that
do we have news this week?
Huh?
There's lots happen this week.
There's lots of news. This is certainly not one of the news items.
Oh, okay.
So, I know that we share a lot of the same viewership as these two networks. And so I want to make sure that we make it clear that we're not trying to tread on any toes or anything like that.
What the fuck is GAC?
GAC is
it's the Great American Classics.
90s. If you grew up in the 90s, GAC was this goo.
Yeah, I remember that. The little slime.
The most beautiful toy you've ever experienced, actually. It's the goo that you have. It's made by Nickelodeon.
That's right.
Look, guys. Trying to get through.
Shut up, Mike.
So it turns out there's been a little bit of Christmas in July drama, and I didn't know that this was a thing that existed until Dorian last time we ended the podcast, and I said, "Hey guys, what should we do for the 100th episode?" And he said we should do a Christmas episode, and I don't even think he was thinking about Christmas in July. I think he was just drunk and shitposting.
How do you not know about? Well, okay, two things. First off, Christmas in July is such a fucking basic joke that people have used for billions of years. But it is shocking to me that you didn't know about Christmas in July.
No. I knew about Christmas in July.
Okay.
I just didn't know that there was drama around it, and I don't think you were.
I didn't know about the drama. I didn't know about the drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And the reason I wanted to do it is because I wanted us to do a Star Wars Christmas episode. But
which
we didn't want to get sued. So
you've done absolutely nothing for because you didn't want to get sued.
Just like costume. A Death Star.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
And I'm wearing a costume.
Yeah, and Brad is obviously part of the Rebel Alliance.
I'm Greedo. Blow my brains out. I don't give anybody time to
blow my brains out with a with a gunship. I can't even see you or hear you, but you're gonna shoot me with a 50mm round.
He's Greedo. I'm Anakin because everything's black. And I don't know. Luke is probably my mommy. So Padme.
Wonderful. And I guess I just don't exist in the Star Wars universe.
No. You don't want to know who you are.
You're that guy who gets choked at the first staff meeting on the Death Star.
But not because I'm dying, but because it like turns me on a little bit.
Yeah. No.
That's why he stops.
Mike is fucking Boba Fett. He's so cool.
Oh my god.
Mike he's
like the coolest guy in the show. We should do a whole show about how Boba Fett is cool, but it's actually not Boba Fett. It's just a guy that looks like him.
Yeah, if you've ever gotten close to Mike, you know he is the Sarlacc pit.
This is when I bend over and spread. Yeah. So anyways, this article, Flams slam
the glack.
Fans slam GAC family with questions after the network posts about Christmas in July event. This was an article written by Cameron Matheson, who I'm not saying shouldn't live, but probably should rethink some living things. It's officially the summer season, meaning we're about to get a fresh dose of the holiday season. Hallmark has primarily dominated the concept of Christmas in July with their movies that reflect. But it looks like they're not the only ones jumping on that bandwagon. On July 1st, the GAC family, and that's Great American Classics for those who don't know.
Like AMC?
Yeah, but Great American
Movie Classics?
Shittier movies?
Are these similar things?
Very similar, except I think they're like worse.
AMC's not bad.
What's that woman one? Lifetime?
Yeah. Yes, that woman one. You're just playing a character. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm laughing in character also.
It's sad. It's sad that we were going to have a woman on this episode, and then she realized that we never have women on our podcast, so she bowed out at the last minute because of COVID-19.
Well, I sent her nudes.
Wow, that's not something you should admit right now. But let's move on to.
Can I interrupt Dorian's like sex scandal here and say, is there meant to be a link that I'm following along with here?
Oh, you're supposed to be watching the stream on the Discord.
Shit.
Which you are, according to the Discord.
Yeah, you're right here with
just pull that bad boy up, and you should be able to see my screen.
That the old stars and bars at the bottom of that?
No,
it is the stars and bars.
Is it?
Well, it's yeah. I mean, it's close.
Are we about to find out?
It's some stars and some bars, just not in the configuration you're used to.
I'll show you a bar and a couple stars.
All right, I got it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
It's really important that you see this.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be important later
Mike
on.
Mike is reading to you.
So again, I just want to
visually simulated.
I want to make sure that everyone knows that we're not trying to step on the toes of Hallmark and now a GAC family by doing our own Christmas in July event.
Lifetime, we are stepping on the toes of them.
Yeah, Lifetime, absolutely. If they're doing a Christmas in July event, we're against it and we're fighting them. But apparently, this caused a bunch of confusion. Several people who don't know how to use phones ask questions like, Is this on Sling yet? Would love to get it. One fan commented on the announcement post. Will you ever be viewable on YouTube TV? Question mark. Please, I hope. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Another pleaded, how can I watch on Fire Stick TV? One more asked. So yeah.
These are fucking cursed like phrases they're using.
Yeah,
you are. These are demons.
Yeah.
So this was the first thing that came up when I searched for Christmas in July, because
I was going to say, what's the joke here?
There's no joke. I just wanted to make you guys sit through that.
Yeah. That's cool.
But speaking of questions on Twitter, our next link involves one Dave Rubenesque.
He's getting more and more Rubenesque.
Yeah, well, it's all the stress eating,
thickening up.
So you know, everybody here probably knows that Elon Musk is trying to back out of his Twitter deal. He's basically said, nah, there's too many bots. I didn't try to do this whole Twitter deal as an excuse to sell a bunch of Tesla stock. And then oops, I accidentally signed away my right to due process, or what is it? Due diligence. So that sucks.
I have a theory for why he actually did it. And this is probably going to ruin a link later in the episode, but I don't prep for this, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, go ahead. You can't ruin anything.
Which makes
on
it sound
this.
so it makes it sound like you're some kind of sorcerer. I don't know what it is, but I will ruin it. This is you're claiming quite a vast amount of power here.
We've been doing a lot of time loops here. But
That's what I'm here for, baby.
I think that Elon Musk ended up doing the whole fake Twitter deal because he needed both a distraction for the world around him, but more importantly for himself. He needed a distraction from the sound of how hard his father was fucking
there it is.
his fucking stepdaughter.
Yeah,
and just
that will come up later.
Loads into his stepdaughter.
And now his
filling
brother
her
is his
with cum to produce a child, because that's what fucking and living is about, you know.
And something horribly, so PTSD.
Go ahead, Brad.
I was just saying, it sounds like now he has a sibling and a nephew. It's convergence there.
Yeah. And the terrible thing is, this is ruining the future that Danko has created, which means it's a fucking hyperstition because we're already in it. But the horrible thing here is none of even though it's structurally outside the Oedipal, it's just creating the Oedipal over again. We're straight back into these horrifying structures of incredibly boring and by cruel, I mean in this, in the non-creative sense of Artaud, but this incredibly brutal and exploitative systems of relation. And so when Danko's saying essentially you're saying if you can elevate your desires to the point of distraction, you don't have to pay attention to what's happening, which essentially is what Musk and his cohort do. The power structure fallout of that is still devastating for everything else around it. I think that is for a later link, because I think I did see something like it. But yeah, so we're constantly accelerating, which I think was to be expected with the guest. Not that I'm here either. Not that I'm here, according to Deebs.
Look, I'm sorry that I claimed you weren't here. I was just frustrated because Jay called out sick, and
people who were sick.
And John is probably in a ditch somewhere, dying.
Okay, so two responses to this, and these are emotional, not effective. Ooh. Because nothing in me is changing as I do this. I'm just venting. But of course, John's not here. 75% of the time he hears, you roll 1d, you roll 1d4, it shows up on a 1, he's not here. Okay, this happens. Yeah, it's a random number generator. This is actual. This is life. This is how life works, like D&D. But as far as that Jay's not here, but Luke is, I understand that I'm a second tier guest. I'm completely available for acknowledging that and incorporating it into my becoming. And I'm there for it, Deebs. And every time you say it, I just get more passionate. So
no. You are not a second tier guest.
No, keep spitting into his asshole.
Oh, and here's the thing. If I was in physical proximity to Deebs, I would absolutely.
Oh, my goodness,
naughty.
No, I would ask.
You can't see it because I'm already red, but I'm blushing.
I would ask if it was okay, like that. If you wanted anything like Dom style, there'd be aftercare. I'm there for you, baby.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really sweet of you.
But before we move on to this video that we've been waiting, as we generally do with videos, I do have a question about, I don't know how like second cousins and shit and all that work. Like it's all very confusing and opaque to me. And so if Elon Musk and this new kid threw his dad with the stepdaughter, so if what you're saying, Brad, is correct, where he has a sibling and a cousin,
sibling and a nephew,
is he not allowed to fuck him?
Well, I mean, allowed. That's a very vague word.
Yeah.
You know, what does allowed mean?
By what state? You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
What country?
Right.
Obviously this is cool in South Africa or wherever they are.
If they're on Little St. James Island, and she's stuck in a dryer, then is he allowed to, or the other option, is he compelled to fuck her?
Well, I feel like there is a lot of one-upisms in that family, and he may have to try to get one on old dad.
That's
like get her pregnant in the hospital. Right after number 1 comes out, he gives her the old number 2.
I don't think that's how reproduction works, but I wouldn't expect you,
now.
a member of the Mujahideen, to know.
Look, and I also think like we're talking about allowed, so we're talking about like normatives, like which, actually we're not talking about normatives. We're not necessarily talking about what should be done. We're talking about what could be done under any system of values. And it strikes me that in this case, even if we exist beyond good and evil, a bunch of values which aren't necessarily normative, but or interpretive, but they're just things that increase or decrease people's capacity to act, have actually just been massively violated here. Like this is a move towards inertia, I guess is what I'm saying. So
yeah.
So and especially if we move into, and in some sense, I'm as always aghast at what Danko says. So we're doing this dryer situation, but. And I don't want to talk about that in the symbolic, but just in this very like material sense, like if you feel that this is I should or I could or I want to, like these desires they're not even taboo. They're just expressing like the current system of who can do, not should do, but who can do what to who.
That's what I'm saying, actually.
Okay,
right?
sorry.
Which is
maybe what you're saying isn't as horrific as I took it for.
Oh, it is. It is.
Okay.
No, you got that right.
No, yeah,
you're absolutely right. But I'm just saying that it has nothing to do with normativity. It's either something which is absolutely compelled and does thereby occur.
Oh, I guess the compelling factor here is because I think like a compulsion to a degree becomes normative, which means in this situation I could not do otherwise, so I should. Now, in Aristotelian philosophy, which of course I piss on, not because I'm smarter than Aristotle, but because it's just a pose that I take on Instagram. But there would be this thing we say, oh, this is just my weakness of will. I couldn't. But in fact, if you couldn't, then you should. Like this is the only thing available, because it'd be like, so we could describe it in terms of physics, which I'm sure that Danko could do better, and and I'm actually I'm surprised even if we just say basic arithmetic should work, and I would think that Deebs understands that in a more practical sense than Danko, even though he's I think Danko has claimed that he is the predominant arithmetic doer of the
look, I did that 4+4 shit. Okay, I
put 4 and 4 together, bro.
I did.
So I'd say if this is if a physical law and a logical law, which in some sense could be in a Lovecraftian universe would be natural laws, are just unavailable for our capacity. There will be things that draw out in a normative sense, in that they should happen, only but without any sense of human value. Like I'm going into this completely monstrous realm here, which strikes me as,
right.
Sorry, and if you're in Little St. James, you are in that completely fucking monstrous realm.
Yeah, I mean, what I would just say, my last little addition onto this, and sorry, I'll hand it over to Brad, but if my general sense of ethics, and one of the things that kind of guides me in determining whether or not something is actually a morally good act or not, is if I have the capacity to do wrong in that moment and yet did not, that's ultimately the determining factor of right action, which is also why I determined that right action and eroticism are exactly the same thing. Because both of them are predicated upon a vulnerability of another person in my hands, which I choose to treat correctly, right? And so I would say that, again, we are only given the options in terms of Elon Musk fucking his sister and or cousin about whether or not he's compelled to do so or whether or not he could.
So all I was going to say is, I always see accumulation of wealth as power, and you reach a point with that where it becomes impossible to do anything good because they're in that position and control so much power. So he could fuck his sister, he could fuck a stranger. He sexually harassed his employees. Yeah. It's all just evil. He can go to the grocery store.
He is compelled to fuck his employees.
Yeah, because he thinks he can, or I guess, yeah, it's a compulsion. I can get whatever I want. I want it. And that's why the Mujahideen need to come into the United States. I need one of you all.
Good, we landed it.
Save women.
Yeah.
So we can
that
feminist Mujahideen to come in and defend our lives.
I mean, I got to be honest. One of the funniest things about the withdrawal in Afghanistan was think of all the women, and it's like, man, you have no idea what the troops have been doing over there, do you?
They gave him $1 in the green zone. Okay,
yeah,
it's totally
America, notoriously pro women. Immediately after think of all the women in Afghanistan. Our own Supreme Court removes all of women's reproductive rights. So that's amazing. And not to compare the two as it's Al Qaeda and our government are the same thing. It's crazy ideologies. One being from Judeo-Christian values, and the other one being from.
Sorry, I immediately need to cut that off and just say that. And
American.
I know you know better.
American Judeo-Christian values.
No, just don't even say that word, Judeo-Christian, because it's entirely meaningless. It
wait.
Nothing.
You can't say that it's entirely meaningless. You might say that it's
okay.
It's a fraught thing to say. But yeah, you don't get because there's clearly a semantic field on which this is actually very fucking rich.
Right. It is
it's disingenuous.
It's disingenuous and it's bankrupt, but it's not meaningless.
Yeah, so because I could say, there's Ben Shapiro means quite a lot when he talks about this shit.
No, of course, everything is loaded, right? And some terms more than others, and that is certainly an extremely loaded term. But it's a weird term where when you use it in a way that's sincere, it has less meaning than when you use it cynically.
I can dig that.
Yeah. We'll leave it there.
Anyway.
Okay. Back to Dave Rubin.
Oh, hell yeah, our boy. Oh, yeah. Our fat little boy.
Yeah, I've had him up on my screen this whole time. So Dave Rubin made a bunch of proclamations when Elon Musk originally decided that he was going to buy Twitter, And Dave Rubin Clips did this master edit of all the times that he spoke very highly of, a revolution through Twitter, essentially. A revolution through the purchase of Twitter, more to the point. And so this is Dave Rubin, completely off of his medication, talking about Elon Musk buying Twitter before Elon Musk backs out.
So is this one of those edits? Never mind.
It is one of those.
Is it a wrestling edit where
all
he
the
just sucks in
positive
air?
beautiful.
Is it a wrestling edit where what?
It's just them doing like the sucking in air.
No. This is this is full clips of Dave Rubin talking about this purchase. I'm glad in true Benzo Rehab custom we've made it less than a second in before somebody interrupted.
It's important. There's always something to say.
Yeah.
Every moment is just heavy with the nectar of meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's day one of a post-woke world. I'm not kidding. I think we can do this. I think there's signs. So let's roll. I declared today, by the way, John, on my program this morning. Today,
I find let's roll. That's problematic.
John. Yeah, I'm worse than John because I'm not the producer. I was taking a victory swig because I had to continue to get drunk.
Keep one hand ready, bitch. You're playing a video.
I use the same hand for drinking and clicking. It's not fair.
You need a foot pedal.
His hair's gotten taller, right?
That's what you made me pause for?
Yeah.
His hair's gotten taller. He experienced hair growth. That's what you wanted me to stop for?
Well, it could get longer and go back more, right? Because it's a swoosh.
Yeah, but then he'd look like a bigger piece of shit.
Well, no, I mean, if
greasing
it's so
back
long
his hair
it becomes like it's already in movement backwards.
You call that pushback
backwards? But it
To
doesn't
be clear,
have to be a pompadour.
As a bald guy, you don't get to criticize this fucking dude.
I had hair once. I had hair once.
I had long hair once, damn it.
I did.
I had hair 15 years ago. Is anyone else getting a terrible echo on this shit?
I'm sorry if you are.
Welcome to Discord.
I'll try to.
It fucking happens.
Okay, hold up.
You can.
Let me check the. Let me check the Discord.
I'm also cool just to push through it because I do want to hear how much people hate Dave Rubin and tell you how much.
Let's push through, but while we push through, Luke, if you just make sure that your audio inputs and outputs are the same for you on Zoom and on Discord, that generally fixes it pretty well for me. Because sometimes it has it on like defaults and stuff, and it seems like it's the same, but it's not, and weird shit happens.
All right, I'll do
All
my
right.
best.
Pressing on. Now that we've covered whether or not Dave Rubin has taller hair.
Does he?
Oh my god.
Does he?
I don't know.
Yes.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, there. We
Yes, he does.
It's
very clear.
Have you ever dated a woman? Have you ever dated a woman?
No.
Would you still date me if I was a worm, Michael?
No.
Just say yes. Just say yes and move on.
I always say no to that because it's preposterous. And this is why
that's why you're single and I am in a dedicated relationship.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the Benzo Rehab lore. Is I haven't had a partner for the last 6 years, and me,
I've been monogamous
sexual partners
forever.
You're right. Yeah. One day. Anyways, Dave Rubin. Day one of the new freedom era.
Is day one of a post-woke world.
Oh, post-woke world, sorry.
Phrase today on Fox Business that I have not heard before, but I would like to officially declare today day one of a post-woke world. I am calling today day one of a post-woke world. It is time to start fighting. Made a little banner, put it back up, little banner to say day one post-woke world. There is good
why did I check?
Happening.
Why did I check what it said?
Yeah, man, I said on my show today is day one of a post-woke world. The theme of the show today, because ladies and gentlemen, we are in what I have called the post woke world. It is here. You just have to see it. We are entering the post-woke world, and I think it's starting to develop right now. You know, Elon Musk, he's just a man. We think of him like he's not a man. You know, he's some superhero. He's sort of like the Tony Stark of reality. He could have walked.
Oh, he's the Tony Stark of reality. I understand now.
Yeah. he's actually going to wield the Infinity Gauntlet by purchasing the Twitter stone, and he's going to snap his fingers, and all the woke people are going to disappear into nothingness. Luke, you look like you wanted to say something when you heard Dave Rubin say like Elon Musk is just a man.
Well, no, so like I guess this maybe also link. Yeah, so this is also going to like link into this Marvel cinematic universe, because I know that Rubin doesn't actually have the capacity to, and I'm not saying everyone has to read, like, you know, it's clear that Danko's illiterate. He's told us innumerable times, but there's going to be this situation, like he's only capable of consuming these very small sound bites of culture. And so when he says something like, you know, he's like, yeah, he's like, it's clear that Musk is something much more than human to Rubin, and Rubin's because Rubin is very invested in what the human is, right? Rubin has this deeply essential views that are very conflicted with, you know, the culture that he lives in as he is. But so when he's, you know, there's only something post-human in Musk, and Rubin can't actually countenance this, right? So like there's something of the real, like, which I sort of was going on about like earlier. I don't know if it was in the pre-recording when we were just talking shit, but you know, there's something outside of the structure of what Rubin can countenance that is Musk, and that's what Rubin's attracted to as well. But he constantly thinks that it's part of what actually is. So when he says, you know, we're in this post-woke world, he thinks it's this eruption of something outside of our structure. But all it is a reinforcement of the dumb shit that we already live in every fucking day. And then he goes on, you know, if you listen to Rubin like all the fucking time, like I'm pretty sure that Deebs does, and I definitely do, you realize it's the same fucking thing every time. Like there's no change in power, there's no challenge to power, and there's certainly no truth to power, because these people, like in the very, like, and you guys fucking know this, and I feel shitty coming on to your, you know, this great
no go on,
but we it seems so obvious.
Go off,
that,
King.
you know,
air horn.
What you know, as like, you know, a putatively Deleuzian, or in some sense even a Lovecraftian, you know, so in some sense like someone who wants to go beyond Kant in either way, like say, you know, there's more out there, but objectivity's actually not available because it's not a thing, because of the interplay of various powers and like intensities which aren't divisible into discrete units. Like Rubin is more like that than I am. Like his idea of Musk is so batshit. Like you couldn't cut Musk down into discrete components for him. He would say Musk is basically a godhead, right? He's got these powers, and it's whatever I assign to him, and that's true. And then when you, like, if you listen to him now, like very recently after Musk is backing out, it's like, haha, Musk is humiliating the powers by backing out of this fucking thing. Like, but wait. So this is, you know, are you just like the least cool William Burroughs, in the sense that, like, I'm sorry, but you say like I'm gay and nothing is true and everything's permissible, like, so so it strikes me as like, no, I hope that wasn't a homophobic slur, but these are the two things he has in common with Burroughs. It's just that Rubin's an idiot, has no understanding of actually what being a human or not human or post-human is. Burroughs definitely does, because he knows about lemurs and fucking amphibians. But yeah, so I'm sorry.
More mugwumptism in our politics, in my mind.
Look, I'm saying we need to put everyone on a full slunk diet, and if you want to find out what slunk is, just don't even do the readings. Just eat it. We'll give it to you on theory. But
no labels on the side of that package, huh?
I mean, go on.
No. I have gone on for far too long, and I've said nothing, but I've still said more than Rubin, I think.
No,
Yes,
you're
definitely.
right. No,
Yes.
I feel like what you're saying kind of helps to start building out something like a taxonomy of this type of
Guy.
person. This type of guy.
It's a new type of guy.
New type of guy.
So we have
Type of
at the moment we have 4 to 6 types of guys, and now we're maybe moving into a sort of a 5 to 8 realm. And Ruben is at the 8.
So I have
Sorry,
three types
even
of
that
guys
disturbs
in
me.
mind right now, right in this specific context, which is that we have a Trump, right? Trump is the fleshiest type of guy in every way. He fucks porn stars. He eats hamburgers. He is literally himself
Corpulent.
fleshy.
Hey,
In-
sorry,
in-
are you guys Warhammer 40k knowers?
Yeah.
Knower, yeah.
So is he more of a Slanesh or a Nurgle
He's a Nurgle.
cultist?
He's a
Nurgle,
Nurgle.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
'cause-
Yeah, Nurgle.
None of these
Yeah,
are Slanesh.
I like how all of us were like, yeah, we know a little bit about 40k. Yes, I know this god from
This
40k.
deity.
Before you even say it. Yeah. But anyway, so we have Nurgle Trump, who's like all of the good and bad parts of being just like a fucking mound of shitty flesh. Just he's fucking huge. He's taller than I am. He's like 6'4" or something. He's fucking huge. He's just a monster. And and that's why the people that love him really love him, because he's a human.
And he's given up on the possibility of humiliation as well.
Right.
There's a difference.
Because
There's a
that's part
difference
of his
between
like
the
animal humility.
the Slaneshi desire is always willing to it's predicated on the possibility of taboo and humiliation, whereas the Nurglite desire is always predicated on just it's the immortality only comes with the fact that nothing really means anything, right? So and neither of those have anything to do with base materialism. It's just that one of them now says everything's like pleasurable, but it doesn't actually, it actually makes me sympathetic to Lacan. Lacan's like, in some sense that castration gives you a sense of limit, and only through those limits can you feel satisfaction. Whereas Trump's like, no fucking limits.
I don't think
I
it
am
would
Nurgle.
mean anything if shirtless pictures of Trump came out, right? And he was
Jacking
wearing
off
pasties
to the thought of him
in one universe and not wearing pasties in the other. I don't think there would be a difference. I think absolutely everything in the universe would function exactly the same
just
way.
as grotesque either way.
Right. Whereas it, not very much not the case for a lot of other people. But on the other end, you have Musk, who, through the way that he's chosen to portray himself, though obviously it's not real in a literal sense, he is something that is at least performing something that is beyond human, right? He's trying to, and the people that really love him are pretending to believe that, they don't really believe that, because they love all the most human parts of him. They're the most fleshy, and
my darling boy. I'm sorry to. I'm sorry to.
Fuck
I'm
you.
sorry.
Don't talk to me like that, Dad. Mom.
Look. I'm sorry to jump on your dick like this, but there's, it's like, even in like the crassest terms, human or to human, like everything. Yeah, you were I think you were getting there before I got, too lascivious. But there's this sense, I think, that everything that seemed to be more than human in Musk is only what was more than human in, say, what we could say in feudalism, with the way that, say, sovereignty, Bataille writes about this, right? So, anything that accumulates power without expending labor kind of situation will take on some kind of capacity to exert influence. So, and this can be very positive for workers, but held in the hands of someone who's essentially a feudalist, this becomes, actually, this is still just humanity. Like, there's nothing outside of the structures of what has already happened. Like this, when I'm talking about an encounter with the real, and again, like, maybe I have too many like convoluted lines through how I think about the real, through the difference between, say, Deleuze Badu and Lacan, but I would say that what's going on here is it always has to be a rupture and something in excess of what could be done in this structure. What Musk can do, and what Rubin must understand, even someone as fucking dumb as Rubin must understand, is, and also a liar. Maybe I do think he's dumb, but he's also a liar. I think he knows more than he lets on. But there's nothing bigger than, like, there's no change coming from any interaction with Musk, like getting off planet, any of the fucking dumb shit that he does. That you guys have talked about some, there's nothing post-human in fucking Tesla. Okay, like
right. In fact, most of it or all of it pretty much just folds back in on itself and becomes more this kind of pre-existing modes of
it's
being.
Enlightenment humanism. It's to say,
yeah.
The human is that which masters nature, and in some sense, I think people like Rubin would broadly agree with that. I would say we will make, but not that they would claim to be progressive anymore. He would claim, sorry, don't want to give him give him the wrong pronouns. Dave Rubin, wouldn't claim to be progressive, but he has some sense that there should be some progress. It's just it's both towards a goal, like a mythological golden age that never existed, but also, as we know, towards this. He loves to talk about fucking Star Wars, right? Probably Danko at least knows this, but Frederick Jameson writing about Star Wars is just the 1950s brought into the 1970s, which is even older. It's just we're just doing the opera over and over again. It has nothing to do with new structures. So, and that said, even with the old structures, we can tell that Rubin doesn't understand the difference between the rebels and the fucking empire. He thinks that by his politics, we should kill all Wookiees or something like that.
No, that's really excellent, and it makes me feel bad that I've drawn all of this, like these kind of excellent points out just to do what I thought was going to be a really simple own, where like Trump is at least like fleshy and human. Musk at least allows people to believe that he is something beyond that, and Rubin is just fucking lost in the middle and trying to stretch between them in this like Jean-Claude Van Damme type of fucking like split, and invariably fails, and then finds himself floating and trying to find himself in space again.
I would say
they're all Nurgle.
Yeah, I would say there is a through line between Trump and Musk from the perspective of Rubin, which is that both of them exist in this fantasy realm where he can write whatever fan fiction about them that he wants in his head, and whatever they do, as imperceptible as they may be to Rubin, he believes that they're such geniuses that whatever they do is actually the right thing, even if it's clearly an idiot move to everyone else. It's just this fan fiction, and it's the same thing that happens with like QAnon and Trump, where it's just like fan fiction over and over again that ends up saying, oh, Trump is going to do this next, and if that ends up being wrong and Trump does something else, and like the natural conclusion that is, if you wanted to achieve X, you would have done Y. They go, well, actually, he didn't want to achieve X. He was just misguiding us because he's such a genius who has such a command of the 4D chess that whatever he does is correct.
Right. I mean, it's one of the quotes that I bring up constantly, but it's that. Wallace Stevens quote. It's the desire to believe in a metaphor is to stick to the nicer knowledge of belief that what it believes in is not true. Right. And that's fundamentally how politics, how desire, how any of this really ends up existing. Or maybe not. Desire is complicated. It brings in a lot of a lot of connotative shit with it. But in the end, people who love Musk well, maybe Musk is a little bit more genuine because it brings in this capitalist realism type of weirdness with it. But at least people who listen to Dave Rubin and listen to Trump, they know, like they fucking know that what they're hearing is bullshit. Like it's so easy to tell.
Up until right now, I have no clue who Dave Rubin is still. He seems like some chud.
He's just
he's a gay conservative.
He's such a weird example of this where not only is he himself identified in so many different ways that don't make sense, but he's just fucking dumb. He's just
extremely
so
stupid.
dumb that it's difficult to tell a lot of the time with him whether or not he's being genuine. And of course the answer is what it always is, which is it's both. But that always like cripples me when I'm listening to him, because I feel like I need to put him in one of these two camps where it's like, oh, he's well-meaning idiot, or he's someone that like really wants to ruin the fucking world.
Well, this is why I always recommend people read Sartre's Anti-Semite and Jew. And, you know, Dave Rubin is a bad faith actor. That doesn't mean he's smart. He knows what he's saying is absurd, but also he's not smart enough to like really really understand himself how absurd he's being to some degree.
Right.
And he's a piece of shit.
Like I'm saying, it's always both, right? It's there's almost no case. In fact, no case. I think even as you tell a lie, you're accepting part of it is truth or belief. But yeah, he's a terrifying.
So let's round this clip out. I think
no.
Yeah. We've got to hear more of Dave Rubin talking about how this is the first day, the second day, the third day of the post woke world.
Love.
Yeah.
But are we going to reach at like a point where he gives? And I know this is like analytic.
Yeah. The next link is him having to reconcile with Elon Musk pulling out. Don't worry.
But no. My point here is sorry, Deebs, but
no, you're fine.
And maybe this is uninteresting, or we should be disinterested. But does he define what post woke is? Like, because I don't think he doesn't have a great concept of what woke is. Woke to him is everything from, feminism to anti-colonization, which I don't think he has a strong sense of what at least the second one is. And everything that's involved in at least those two things is communism, without any acknowledgement of what communism would be regarding, labor relations to production and access of values and resources. Like, this post-woke world thing that he's talking about is like it's less well developed than any sci-fi idea of what the future is.
So I can actually briefly explain to you what Dave Rubin's conception of woke is. Woke is anybody on Twitter being allowed to call him a fucking idiot. Woke is,
I'm work now. Shit.
Yeah. Woke is anytime he violates the Twitter rules, which are clearly posted and you have to agree to. Anytime he violates those, he gets a suspension. That's what wokeism is.
Is woke? Is this an example of? Is woke when you make Jordan Peterson cry?
Woke is absolutely when you make Jordan Peterson cry
because he loves you.
Yes, right. It's bad tears rather than good tears. The like third like possibility of what woke is to Dave Rubin is he sees restrictions on Twitter as actual restrictions of free speech, which there is some argument to be made of that. If these were like public commodities and actual public squares, but they're not. They're private companies privately dealing and privately profiting.
And again,
which contradicts how he
they
thinks
should be
about
public. And
they should be public, but they aren't.
And they want. but
and so this is an actual censorship. And so what him and Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, we'll talk a little bit about Jordan Peterson later, but what they see as like restrictions on their free speech are actually just like a company inviting you to their platform, and then you say something that they don't want you to say on their platform, and so they restrict your ability to say that. That's what wokeism is when corporations own things.
Doesn't he already have that on his, like, his new bullshit
yes, on locals or something like that.
He's got this that you can be kicked from a group for saying things that you don't like. And I've heard him sort of talk about this a bit, like, like he doesn't want trolls that, like, apparently the paywall of it will stop that, but they also have the ability to get you out of it because it's a private company, right? It's not this public square. And I think, I think, as maybe we all agree, things like Twitter and, like, depending on how old you are, Facebook are relatively, like, necessary, for public speech. But at the moment, and if you're a capitalist, which fucking Ruben is, yeah, you have to say, this is privately owned, I can do what I want. And you have to carry that through. Like, this sounds terrible coming from someone who's, into theory rather than analytic philosophy, but you need to be fucking consistent. And he is not consistent at all. And sorry, maybe we should finish the clip and stop. I'll stop talking.
I agree with Luke.
Such a good time.
Luke and Deebs solidarity right now. Let's round out the last 40 seconds of this, and then we'll move on to the next Dave Rubin clip that we'll overanalyze.
I'm so fucking triggered, bro.
But the signal that he's sending to everybody is, hey, I'm fighting. Are you fighting? Individuals. He's just one guy. I'm just one guy. You're just one guy or gal. But all of us are just one person. And if we stand up to this machine, I think we can see that it actually is a wet paper bag and it will fold. That is the theme of today's show. I am amped up.
It's really hard to hold.
I was going to say, it's really hard to fold a wet paper bag.
Yeah.
Isn't the traditional analogy that you couldn't punch your way out of a wet paper bag? It's not about folding. It's about ripping through. He has no understanding.
He's trying like any author.
But he's reading he's reading off something. I'm pretty sure none of this is off the cuff, and he didn't write it himself. So I mean, like, there's no excuse here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the amazing thing is that his gay husband writes a lot of his material, which that means that there's two like self-hating gays out there trying to be conservatives.
Why do you have to say his gay husband?
Because I think it's important to like make that clear.
But let's be clear. Maybe his husband doesn't want to fuck him or anyone.
Are you talking about like a Chasten Pete sort of situation here?
Exactly. We
couldn't even fuck enough to make their own kids.
By Pete Buttigieg, good judge.
And next we're gonna read Hunter Biden. Yeah. Which, Jesus, you signed me up for that. So this is a tweet from Dave Rubin, screenshotted in this video. Yeah,
is really over here. The purge is coming. Find me on Locals at RubinReport.locals.com.
Yeah. So this is kind of where the veil kind of starts slipping off for Rubin, where he realizes that maybe Elon Musk isn't going to save him from Twitter.
Is this another video we're going to watch? Of
Dave Rubin? It's only only 1 minute and 20 seconds.
I'm still listening. I'm going to walk away from taking a piss. Bye.
So make sure you keep your microphone on. Yeah. So here we have Dave Rubin. This is after Elon Musk is pulled out of Twitter. So before we were looking at Elon Musk has announced that he's going to purchase Twitter. It's day one of the post-woke world because, as we all know, the like handful of millions that are on Twitter represent the billions of people on this planet. Really hate to break it to everyone right now, but Twitter isn't real. And if you listen to Twitter, I don't know, if anybody criticizes you on Twitter, regardless of what you're doing, just fucking ignore it.
Tyler, the creator, said it. Just close your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
How the fuck is cyberbullying real? Some words I can't say.
Wait. Sorry, Deebs, aren't you like a big proponent of the power of the cyberbully, or do you just say that it's perfectly fine to cyberbully because
yeah,
it's
fine to cyberbully because it doesn't exist.
You can do both. You can do both.
Yeah.
Okay?
Of course, I'm solidarity.
Those people who are weak enough to be cyberbullied should be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Again, billions of people on this planet, and you know, millions are maybe on Twitter, and that's such a small fraction.
I hate to like just keep doing this, but well, no, I hate it. I'm compelled to because of my own brainworms. Would be to say something like,
yeah, you're jacking off on my face right now, and you have to go ahead.
Jeez, well, please allow me to continue. I'm almost done, but the sense here would be because you know we have like between 7 and 8 billion people on this planet, right? And also you know countless other organisms with more or less sentience that we may or may not call people. But because only millions of people are on Twitter, and I'm not on Twitter, other than to say you know perversely look at Dave Rubin and Nick Land. Without ever engaging with them on the platform, we say there are real structures happening, and like because we could also say you know there like most of the people in the world aren't involved in a media economy that say all of us are, regardless of you know whatever our economic situations may be. They may be more or less similar, but I would suggest that you know something that has the concentrated like economic power of something like Twitter, and sorry, once you're talking in a matter of billions, you are affecting people in a very specific way, in a material sense. And I don't think this isn't just symbolic or aesthetic. And by this, I just mean that symbols and aesthetics are always already working on the material world. And I don't want, you know, even millions of people. I don't think you're discounting millions of like the capacity, like the lives of millions of people, but these things are real. Like so, like David Rubin is his name now. David Rubin.
David Rubin-esque is his full name.
Yeah, David Rubin is always like you know he always is running this line that social media is not real. I find this to be perverse, right? Because like there are certainly people, and you know many of them who aren't in the middle class, whose lives are impacted by what's going on there. And even if it's not a huge amount of them, I'm still like, you know, these things are only expanding. Like we know that, like, don't we know that, like, say, the metaverse wants to reach like X billions of people within the next 10 years. Like these are things that may not be actual yet, but they're certainly already working on how infrastructure works. I guess I should have said that as a preamble because of this podcast. I don't know how you guys like talking about infrastructure, but yeah. So I think that the you know the fantasy of the reality of the virtual is already impacting the material.
Let me defend myself a little bit, which I don't think you were attacking me at all. But when I say something like Twitter isn't real, I mean Twitter discourse exists in this highly specified area of like what people are saying to each other, and like the real functional reality of like society, I guess, right? Like billions of people on planet Earth don't even access Twitter. A lot of people who make decisions in the world unfortunately interact with Twitter, and so it's like this virtual space that imposes itself on the real in that way, but like that shouldn't be how it works, I guess is what I mean by Twitter isn't real.
Yeah. And sorry, I guess we pretty much totally agree. It's just that you say it shouldn't exist, and I'm saying it does. Right?
No. Yeah. It's an odd difference. And Danko, go ahead.
I would say, just to be controversial, that it should. And it simply should, not because I like Twitter. I fucking hate Twitter. Twitter makes me miserable.
It's the worst
really
fucking
bad.
place.
But it should exist for those who are able to digest it without hurting themselves and to use it to compose new weapons.
It's impossible. No one can
and I'm
enjoy
gonna grab
it.
more beers. I've never been hurt on Twitter. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Fuck you. You can't hurt me. I'm impenetrable. Yeah. No, I do agree with that actually. Like the only good use of Twitter, and I only have a Twitter account because I was conscious of the thought that as the Benzo Rehab dungeon slowly reaches world domination levels of podcasting, somebody may make a fake Benzo Rehab dungeon account. And so I wanted to have like a real account so I could be like, no, guys, I'm the real Benzo Rehab dungeon. It happened to Danko.
It happened to Trump.
Deleuze, yeah, right. Well, that's why he made the real Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I'll never be a blue checkmark Twitter account, but you guys don't know me. You guys don't know me.
Also, Trump lost his name. Oh, go ahead, sir.
The funniest thing about them making a Dank Deleuze Instagram account or Twitter account is that they just followed like a dozen gay porn
they did
pages, and then they deleted it once I had people send them butthole pics.
Yeah,
so
and
in the buttholes now. I guess.
The only proper use of Twitter is to
butthole pics.
Well, also to abuse people in power verbally.
So my favorite go-to on Twitter is you say you're a journalist with some blog, whatever, and you find somebody in, like whoever's the lead player of the internet that day, and you say, hey, I'm a journalist with this, I really want to ask you some questions. And a lot of times, right when it's flash in the pan time, you'll get a response. Mm-hmm. And then I send them the picture of that pig who is shit on his own balls.
I knew that's where it was going. Yeah. That's wonderful.
And I just asked him, like, does this look okay? And then the next thing you see is you can no longer send this person direct messages.
Damn, they blocked me.
Got him.
I did that to a military recruiter who decided to ask me if I wanted to join the Marines after I got out of the Marines. This gentleman recruiter said that I was very disrespectful to the Marine Corps. I said, bitch, I was in the Marine Corps.
You should have said, bitch, I am the Marine Corps.
Yeah, bitch, I am. A United States Marine, Semper Fi, do or die. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
An immoral entity, though. So I don't get what he, like...
Look,
damn, did Luke lose his sleeves, or am I just like imagining things?
Hot.
You got a quick pump in.
Are we gonna like slowly undress Luke over the course of this podcast, or what?
I hope so. I mean, Luke again is Antipodian, and so is probably experiencing a very hot time right now. Though I guess is it winter for you fucking weirdos right now?
I think by your standards, it's like 50 degrees here.
50 Fahrenheit?
Jesus
wow.
Christ.
Yeah, that's chilly.
That's kind of chilly for California, so I'll take it.
The radiator's on, and I'm getting up. Also, maybe I'm just my passions are erupting as we watch Ruben and me to just bust out.
So speaking of watching Ruben, here's Dave Rubin after Elon Musk pulls out, and he's gonna do a real interesting pivot. We've seen a clip after clip of him talking about how we're gonna start living in a post-woke world. Here is Ruben after Elon Musk makes the 4D chess move of not buying Twitter.
I know I spend a lot of time on the show talking about Twitter and Elon Musk and all that, and there's a certain percentage of you, and you're a wise percentage, who are not on Twitter, and I don't recommend, if you're not on Twitter, getting on Twitter. As you know, I'm trying to figure out how to plot my exit off Twitter. I think these things have to implode, but you sort of have to fight sometimes where the fight actually is. And again, for those of you that are not on Twitter, that are like, why do you focus so much on Twitter? Whether you like it or not, it is the place right now. It is the global PR service where the tastemakers, the influencers are, and what starts there leaks out into the rest of society. That may not.
No, it's not. What a strange thing to say, right? Like the people that I want, the people who I want to pay attention to me are there, right? But it has nothing. Sorry, like it's like I think as maybe I'm coming off, too dismissive here, but after I've just said that the virtual is the real and the virtual of social media is certainly something to pay attention to, and Deebs has given a very good nuanced explanation as to why it's not real, but in some sense is still doing something. Like now Ruben's making this totalizing claim as to like the totality of it, which just isn't the case, right? And he must like, maybe this is back to like, I'm just walking back into like to say he's being a hypocrite. Because then he's also going to say, he might not say it here, but if you like the discourse of Ruben over time is that, I think Deebs does a very good Ruben impression that I won't attempt. But the point here is like over the course of his, we could say career, and especially over the last few years, has been to say, now locals is where it's happening, or now Rumble is where it's happening. Like all these things these are the new things, like the old things are being washed away. Like he's essentially like doing this, the fucking now is the time for monsters thing, but for conservative shits who are terrified of monsters. What's
the quote? It's the old world is dying and the new world is struggling to be born, and now is the time of monsters.
See, I'd love the radio play where you play Ruben and Danko plays JVP. It's so fucking
these are our specialties.
Never done it face to face before.
Maybe we should plan an episode where you're JVP and I'm Dave Ruben. Well, it's really interesting about when you talk about the Jungian shadow, how it reminds me of, the shadow of Thor when he's looking at Thanos.
Shut up! I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
The Chaos Dragon to me reminds me a lot about Antifa.
Off the shoulder of Orion. I've seen C-beams glitter off this 10-house gate. All these memories will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time.
Let's round out the last 40 seconds of this Ruben
finish
clip.
My speech. God damn. Jesus.
I mean,
fucking Christ, buddy.
You've just been cancelled. Sorry,
I
the moralist Michael Deebs.
The woke world has entered your realm and canceled you in real time.
Let's see who cancels who.
Thank God we're all so woke here. Hell.
All right, sorry. Just felt compelled to hit that button. All right, let's more Dave Ruben.
Good. I'm pretty sure it ain't good, but it is real. And again, I'm rooting for Twitter to lose. I'll tell you totally candidly at this point, even though I've spent a tremendous amount of time and effort on Twitter, and I've over 1 million people that follow me on there, and I get a lot of traction despite the way they shadow ban me. Obviously, they're screwing with my account in crazy ways right now. And I got banned last week, as you know, and all those things. But I actually think that the best resolution of this would be that Twitter implodes. It probably should implode, and we should all figure out other ways to communicate with each other. There are things such as locals. You could join other video sites instead of YouTube, like Rumble, et cetera, et cetera. And I know I spent a lot.
So we actually sorry, I'm muted to you guys. We actually end up agreeing with Ruben, which is that we should find other ways to communicate.
No,
I mean his suggested ways of communication rather than our garbage, but I don't think Twitter's a good way to communicate.
The problem is that the problem in my mind is that all of these ways of communicating, all these different options are just ways to make communication more insular, right?
Sure.
Whereas you simply need like more and more unprohibited, insane forms of communication in my mind. Like You just need an internet like we had when the four of us were growing up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right. Like I just need to see horses fucking people to death every day. That's what the internet is for.
I mean, look at me right now. I grew up on the internet during very formative years, and now I'm wearing a do-rag, acting like I'm in Afghanistan.
You look great. You look great.
And I believe that you're in Afghanistan for sure.
Might as well.
Yeah.
That text actually follows you around in Afghanistan. I can comment on this as somebody who's been to Afghanistan. Every time I look behind me, all I could see was this film is dedicated to the brave Mujahideen fighters in Afghanistan. I was like, what the fuck? Where did this come from?
Wait, is this already a movie? Because it sounds like just a very dope horror film that you.
It was
Rambo 3.
Rambo 3, yeah.
No. He's talking about the text following.
Oh,
the text
is in. It's in. Too Many Cooks.
Yes,
it's in that. Which
I know nothing about.
Beautiful piece of art, and no,
it takes a lot to make us stew.
So, this is actually one of the ways I test people that I begin dating, which is why it's so difficult to love me, and why I don't date many people for very long. That and my 2-inch beepus, but. I make them watch Too Many Cooks. And if they stop it before it ends, it's over.
Getting an Uber ride home, toots.
Yeah. So I'm going to test a couple more people out. I'll let you know how it goes. But
probably not well. Nice. Beautiful. Wonderful.
What's next?
Hey,
what's
Deebs,
next is
Deebs, can I just check in? Like, you put in so much work on this pod, and this is the 100th episode. Are you at least having a good time? Because you seem a little stressed.
This is where I thrive, son.
Yeah.
Mom,
right,
Dad.
Well, I just want you to know I love you so much.
I do this on purpose to myself every week.
Here's the thing about PTSD, right? So
wait. So we're talking about phantom snake dances?
yeah.
The silent
but
T.
I used to hear this all the time back when I did have stable relationships, which is that in an emergency, wonderful to have on your side, very calm, just fantastic in those cases. But as soon as you have to do something like go to the DMV, all bets are off. You're fucked, right? Which could explain PTSD or ADHD, I guess. But I think that's what Deebs is experiencing, where he needs to constantly find a place for his hypervigilance to actually fit in. And so by sitting next to an asshole that wants to ruin his podcast and make his life hard, he's just like, oh, thank God. All my paranoia makes sense now. It's all okay. So,
it's not paranoia if they're out to get you.
Fuck you.
No, I chose this for myself. I knew what I was getting into. And it's only gotten worse, but I knew what I was getting into.
Eat my balls.
Very, very eloquent of you. I see you're learning more words now.
I'm a writer. I'm an author.
Yeah. So Jordan Peterson decided to make another 13 minutes of Twitter.
How much are we watching?
As much as we can, I guess. Yeah. Put the mic away, maybe shut up for a second and listen. You know? Take some time to make some space to listen. Sit your ass down. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, Jordan Peterson would like to tell us all why Twitter is insane as the most Twitter addicted person on Twitter.
Quick question. Do you recall if he cries in this? I know it can be subtle with him because it's always there.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
Does he cry in this?
He gets very close.
Okay.
Yeah.
I very quick and just a little bit of lore from Danko past, right? Which I think might apply to Jordan Peterson because he does do this all the fucking time.
Benzos?
Before that. Before that period for both of us. But when I was a child, so my first memory of me like telling a lie and knowing I was telling a lie instead of just like a child lie where it's like, did you hit your sister? And it's like, no, as you're running away because that's what you say. My first memory of telling a lie is my mom was telling me about hell. And I started crying my fucking eyes out. Hell. And she was just like, why are you crying? What's wrong? And in reality, I was crying because it's like, oh man, I've done all sorts of fucked up shit. I stole candy once, like I tripped a girl. Fucking, I'm fucked. Like,
and your mom was like,
and each day, like these weird things keep leaking out.
That one is like incomprehensible to me. I can't hear it. But she asked me what's going on, and I was crying because I'm like, oh, I'm going to hell. But I just told her, oh, I'm crying because I'm so happy that I get to go to heaven.
Pretty bold assumption, little kid.
And she was so stoked about that and has brought it up a billion times.
That's
to
beautiful.
Friends of hers. And I feel like that's something that you see with Jordan Peterson happening all the time, where he's talking about these poor young men. They walk up to me and they say, oh, Jordan, you're my new daddy. And I just don't know.
Yeah.
So
he's really just like one anecdote away from crying at all moments.
Always.
So
and it's clearly because it's for the same reason that he has the benzo addiction. He's gonna cry because he's miserable, not because he's just like, oh my god, these boys love me so much. But maybe there's something there. Sorry, Luke, what was that?
Yeah, no, I'm really sorry to do this, and this is probably just coming from. I hate that I'm interpreting through my own.
Do it.
My own connection to being a complete fucking asshole, but that cries in public and for gain. So there would be this thing where I do think it's like, again, I think this is more connected to something like an artistic practice of misery, where it's aesthetic in the most crude sense, rather than aesthetics as something that is a theory of perception, and a theory of perception that suggests that perception changes what there is.
Yeah, I think this is way more right. Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'm right. I'm just attaching it to how I think about myself, and I'm becoming JBP. And I'd say, the whole art of being, say, an emo or a screamo singer, 10 to 15 years ago or 20 years ago, which 20 is slightly before my time, but certainly 15 would be in some sense to say, I understand what the structure is. Like, I perceive this, but my theory of aesthetics, or like my aesthetics, like my meta aesthetics, is to say there's no reason to I don't want to say interpret, but there's no reason to challenge this. And it's actually beneficial for me to push this unchallenged view of what I view as to be other people's views. And so this is, he doesn't, I don't think he has a theory of, like, I think this is actually quite, like, the first time I encountered Peterson was listening to him talking to another dickhead, Sam Harris, like when they had this like fucking 3-hour conversation about epistemology,
about what truth is. Yeah.
And it went nowhere. And in some sense, like I feel like I came down closer with Peterson, but there's no real there behind his, like, if anything, like if you take him, he is this bare, like uncritical postmodernist in the sense of normativity, rather than like a postmodernism or post-structuralism as just as a description of the world, like we might say, we now live in this sort of post, it's not post-critical, but a post, like a post value society or something like that. But then he would say, but it's what's useful. So because then he tries to link it to Evo Psych or whatever. But yeah, so I do think that he has this like which also I think this is the goal of, now to link it back, I think this is the goal of the emo singer or the screamo singer, which is to say, I'm not simply describing the world, I'm showing you how the world should be so that I can get my comeuppance, which was essentially his trajectory. Like, he was not, I'm sorry this took so long to say, but he meant nothing in the public discourse until he went, you should weep how I weep.
He looked directly into the camera and said, "Can you feel my heart?"
Right. No, I mean, as someone that like, so I did DSBM for a while, and just black metal in general, but that was the one that I really kind of got into, which is really not that different from emo, right? In a certain way. And yeah, I mean, that's the purpose of doing something like damaging yourself or like crying on stage, is as a type of performance of what the conflict imagined should become for everyone, but also an identification with the self as the only source of conflict.
Yeah, and it's an escalating sense of value too, right? So you could say, because I have now displayed that this is a valuable point of the discourse, I now am the sole possessor of it, right? Like, I think it's more complex than that, but that's this very simple way to say it.
But that's a wonderful way of describing it, because we always get caught up here on describing JBP as having this tendency towards great chain of being thinking, which he does have, right?
Yeah,
which is just
absolutely.
this, he links in, and you should always, you either become the manager or you need to be managed, kind of thing.
Deebs. Sorry.
What's up?
Yeah, Dad.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I guess that describes me.
Deebs is the big other. Sorry.
But
that's what I present myself as.
That's really occurring, which makes it so difficult to sort out this type of conservatism, if you want to call it that, is that it's still predicated upon something which is inherently liberal, right? So it's not that you're seeking a sovereign at all times. It's that you yourself are seeking a sovereign within yourself, because you already know that to be true. And that's the thing that is so damaging and terrifying, especially to someone that might lay on something like the communist or even an anarchist field of view, simply through just the thought that like things should be non-hierarchical, and the identification of the self as the only view inherently produces these hierarchies. So this great chain of being, but also everyone that's part of that chain is the only one. It's nuts. It's a lot.
I'm glad that we've actually analyzed this entire 13-minute Jordan Peterson video without watching a second of it.
My last thing to say is to correct what I said before. About it, because the metaphor that I used was coming from a child who grew up and had a sense of just wanting to defend his mother from his own feelings, right? Whereas what Jordan Peterson is actually doing is he's a fucking narcissist, and he sucks cock, and we all hate him, and we're gonna fart in his mouth.
Wait.
Because we're gonna beat him to death with an important person.
I'm uncomfortable with this cock sucking thing. Sorry. I know that I do like
live.
Sorry, I know you like to use slurs on this podcast, but yeah, like I'm saying, like sucking cocks. Like I find this terrible thing. Like when I say "fuck you" or "suck my dick," like I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that to an enemy. Suck my dick. This is a sign.
Might have a more complicated relationship with my lovers than some other people do.
lot of hate fucking going on over there, probably.
There's a lot of love too.
Yeah, so I guess maybe I am the true liberal here in the chat, but I've never said I've never said suck my dick is a threat.
None of you are transgressivists like I am, fucking people's mouths.
What I would say is maybe eat my ass, but that's because I eat a lot of spicy Mexican food. And
I just like saying suck my balls because I know they're always kind of stinky, and I feel bad when someone's just sucking on my balls. But I'm like, I like it so much, you know.
That's great.
You know, same thing with my ass. You know, like eat my ass is a good one too. Because
eat my ass because I don't wipe properly.
I love it when people eat my ass.
Come here, lick my asshole! Lick my asshole!
Pretty steam.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm too parochial here because I think all of these things are clearly on not just the erotic, but on the erotic sexual field in a way that we broadly understand. And you know, there are different ways to understand this and have been, you know, throughout. You know, we could say planes of like time, like geography and chronology, but like all of this, they all sound like sexual threats to me.
Yeah. I mean, to rewind quickly, and
if you call me, if anyone off this calls me a lib, I'm gonna be like, that hurts real bad. But okay, I still think this because I've only been called a lib twice in the last couple of years.
It's pretty good.
That was the worst. That's the worst damage I can possibly fucking take.
Yeah.
Nobody can call you a lib after being on the Benzo Rehab dungeon.
Really?
Yes. We don't invite liberals on here, except for that one time that we did, and then they never talked to us again.
Isn't Danko family in the middle class?
We don't talk about
for a couple months.
We don't talk about Danko's liberalism.
That was speculative. That wasn't meant to be like doxing your class position.
No, actually, that is something that's really interesting. That
I assume because you went to such a good university, you must be a liberal.
No, actually, me entering into the middle class happened after I went to two very good universities. Actually, the only reason I was able to go to the first university I went to was because I was so poor I couldn't afford it, so they gave me a full ride. And then the second one,
I'll give you a full
I just
ride.
took $80,000 in debt.
Hell yeah, man!
Oh,
hell yeah! So, and then because of those, I entered the middle class. So maybe one day I can pay it off.
So maybe, so I don't think you're truly in the middle. I don't think you're truly in the middle class then.
No. Yeah, like I'm part of the precariat at best.
Ooh,
right? Like
the proletariat.
Proletariat, yeah. No, but I'm definitely part of the precariat. Like at best, it's a weird position to be in.
Well, you shouldn't use that term. That would make Chapo Trap House sad. Okay, so
I will fight anybody on Chapo Trap House.
Really quick question: why do we hate Chapo so much? I don't love him.
Cocaine socialism.
Yeah.
Well, I've picked up in the as I've been saying, a Benzo historian. You've never explained your theory of Chapo hate, but it's really come across, and I don't think that it's. Benzo is clearly my favorite pod, and I'm not saying that just because I'm here. I'm so glad to be here.
What's the caveat to this, though? Go ahead, please.
I guess the thing is, I don't think they're that bad as far as like pushing libs just a little bit further into being. I don't know what it is over there, like sock dem or whatever the fuck it is. Like it's a pipe, like. I think it's very rare to radicalize someone to be a fucking anarchist straight away. If like even if you've lived in the fucking working class or like grown up in poverty, it's very hard to make people like even start thinking about the structure. No,
harder sometimes.
They've become massively fucking nihilist. Like since their Bernie, their Godhead, whatever failed. Yeah. Now they're just full black pill nihilism, which is It's not even the the cool aesthetics of theorygram black pilled communist nihilism. It's just we got our bag. So well, I don't know, but so I guess I don't think Chapo are that reprehensible. I just think that it's to be expected.
I think I know I listen to Chapo more than Mike does. I was listening to Chapo, I don't know, fucking years ago when we lived together, and I thought they were decent. I mean, granted, I also was listening to like Sam Cedar, who is not great. He's fine, I guess, a lot of the time, but frankly, like only in the most like, sorry to say this is a joke, only in the most liberal sense.
No, sure, but it's that bordering thing where eventually you go, there are inconsistencies here. Yeah. Now I'll go further. Now, because not everyone, like in some sense, like I'm just talking about my own development. It in my 20s, I was like mostly just apathetic and nihilistic. Late 20s became, like, in some sense, more liberal, and then in my 30s became extremely radicalized. But like that was because of a trajectory of exposure.
Yeah, can we really quickly go around the group and kind of cover what happened there with everyone? I think that would be really interesting for this. Way more interesting than another Jordan Peterson joke.
And sorry, Mike, that this has happened.
No.
This is it's a Christmas miracle, though, baby. It's a Christmas miracle. We three kings of Orient are, gold and silver traveled afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. I just wanted to sing a Christmas carol quick.
I gotta admit to you guys real quick before we go on with the rest of this.
You gotta pee? You piece
no,
of shit?
No. Jesus, man, calm down.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
The reason that there's only 8 links for this particular episode that normally has like
watch something that's 45 minutes.
No. God, you won't even let me like fucking speak my piece, son.
You suck. I hate you. I hate you more than I've hated anyone.
No, the reason there was only 8 links for this episode is because I knew having Luke and Dorian on the same thing, it would get so muddied in the waters that if we had more links, it would just like we would do a 24-hour episode. And I'd fall asleep before.
Do that every time. You should do that every time.
No, because normally we move through these fucking things.
And Luke only makes it 30% worse.
Only 30%.
I 30%. It's a large number. It's
that's pretty big.
But still, I mean, 30% does. 2-hour podcast is still too long. 3-hour podcast is way too long.
Yeah, and we're working on the 3rd hour, by the way. But anyways, so your premise of the question here, what are we supposed to like?
The general diagram of your political evolution.
All right, you go first, I guess.
Okay, Jesus.
I mean, actually, Luke actually went first, but go ahead.
So I grew up extremely conservative. My family and then my own politics that I kind of carried along with that into being something that was frankly probably close to fascist, because my mother is insane and the like politics that she ascribed to were pretty nuts, but thankfully tempered by people like my father, who is just an extreme liberal, who those always help out fascists, but potentially there's an escape.
I mean, you must have realized that when one was married to the other, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then when I joined the workforce, that's what ended up changing everything, because not only was I exposed to people in a different way, but I also understood how money worked to some degree. And again, like when I grew up, because we're all old here, minimum wage was what I made, of course, because I was 16, and minimum wage was something like $6. So it was like nuts, and I was like, oh, oh, capitalism is insane. Like, this is fucking nuts. Like, immediately, like overnight. And this is also during the Bush era. And I was like, this motherfucker, and I love conspiracy theory stuff. I was kind of like, frankly, if I was 45 in 2003 or whatever, I would be a QAnon person. Absolutely. And that's kind of the politics that I was involved in. It is that kind of thing. Like, listen to a lot of Alex Jones and stuff like that. And then after that, I started thinking more about this shit and actually like reading a little bit. Like, I wasn't a big reader, but I read some, and I just like had another extreme pivot where suddenly it was, I'm a communist now. I'm just a fucking communist now, because all of this is insane and it's awful. And I need to get an AK-47 and kill all of my neighbors so that we can have, just another insane version of what it is. But like, so not really it, but I thought that was what I was. Again, like being a 17-year-old at that point. And then from there, tasting a little bit of success because I became a diamond grader, and then I like joined in as a project manager of a web design company and all this stupid shit. I was like, okay, I see how money works a little bit now. Now I've decided I'm a capitalist. I've decided that all this shit makes sense. And I see how it works, and clearly everything that I'm doing, because I'm extremely insecure and young, I'm like 20 at this point in time. All of this shit makes sense, and I have made it in life because I'm good at doing things, not because of anything else. And so I was like, okay, I'm a capitalist, kind of neoliberal at that point, and I sat around there for a little while, until suddenly something just kind of snapped and melted. And then over a period of 10 years, I just became more and more left, where it's just like, oh, I'm a neoliberal. No, I'm a socialist. No, I'm a communist. No, I am a left com. No, I'm whatever the fuck I am now. And that's just kind of the trajectory that took. And then probably, I would say, in the last few years, the change there. Sorry, I know this is taking forever, because I've been very inconsistent. But
that's why we don't trust
there would be that I've had varying opinions on how acceleration functions. And what that should mean, and I think that's still like too present right now for me to maybe map out, and also what it'll take forever. So that's been my trajectory.
We're all very proud of you.
Shut up. Fuck you. I hate you.
So, as I've talked about on the religious deconstruction episodes, I grew up in a pretty extreme fundamentalist, conservative Christian household. I was taught that, everything the U.S. does is good and pure and true, and that's what you should continue doing as well. And then, I really started getting serious about like my biblical studies, and I started reaching all these like questions of like, hey, wait, Jesus doesn't seem to have been like a pro-capitalist. It turns out that he was like really interested in like people sharing a lot and like helping each other out, and thinks that rich people won't go to heaven. So I've got some questions and concerns about all this sort of stuff. So I kind of rubbed against my family in that way for a long time, where I was like, I think Bill Gates is evil because he's rich, and rich people shouldn't exist.
Question. I'm so sorry.
What's up?
But did you rub against your family?
Wow, not like that,
man.
man.
Or because you had to?
like sandpaper. um,
Sorry.
Yeah, it was compulsory, I guess, to answer your question, but not in the way you're thinking. But yeah, for a long time, I would get into arguments with my family on this sort of thing, and then I joined the workforce as a young man. First off, I moved out of my family's house when I was 16.
Samesies.
Yeah, and I was living with a bunch of college students, and like they taught me how to get drunk and stuff, and I was like, hell yeah, getting drunk rules.
Taught you.
Yeah, I mean, so like my 17th birthday, a good friend of mine hands me a shot, and this is the first time I've ever drank booze. A good friend of mine hands me a shot of gin. I drink the gin and I go, oh, this tastes like pine needles. This fucking sucks. And then like maybe 5 minutes later, I'm like, hey, wait, what was that gin stuff again?
Probably less than that. Like, I remember the first drink of alcohol that I had.
Yeah,
like
your belly gets so warm immediately, and you're like, oh exactly. Man, that feels. You'll never find that again. You'll never. You'll spend the rest of your fucking life chasing that.
Exactly. No, I think almost. I think about it at least twice a week, where I'm sitting on a trampoline with some of my buddies, and I just took a swig of Mad Dog. I think it was.
Oh, love it.
And I'm just sitting around there, and just the warmth flows down. I'm like, oh, this is the best thing in the world.
That's back when your stomach could drink Mad Dog without without feeling horrible. So yeah, I start getting involved more in the world, and realizing that a lot of like my Christian upbringing doesn't really match up with the world. I go on a couple of mission trips. And the whole time I'm on these mission trips, I'm like, Jesus, it's so not like me speaking to Jesus, but like Jesus Christ. It's so fucking bizarre how like different these cultures are, where these dirt broke people are so willing to share and give and have this communal love. And then I come back to America and the church is just like, give us money, gotta give us money, you gotta give us money. And so, like, I found myself at odds with the church a lot of times because I was like, you guys are just, like, insanely dedicated to, like, getting money and profiteering, essentially. And so I end up getting kicked out of the church that I was involved in. A girl I was seeing at the time dumps me, and so I'm, like, at rock bottom as like a 20-year-old. Also the 2008 financial crisis happens, and I'm working in the construction world, so I don't have a job, I don't have a girlfriend, and I don't have a family anymore. And so I'm like, all right, time to go die in Afghanistan. So I joined the Marines, and what's that?
Just death drive.
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of, yeah, almost, yeah. I did want to die at that point, but I didn't want to like go out like some pussy that just like, I'm gonna take too many pills and like choke on my own spit.
Those
or
pussy suicides.
Yeah, I wanted to get shot to death by somebody wearing sandals wielding an AK-47.
I love that your suicide by pill voice is also your Dave Rubin voice. Like, I don't know why that excites me.
I'm just trying to die by pills? I don't know.
I wonder what the line in that.
Yeah. So I joined the Marines, and I go through military training, and I actually like excel at it, which bothers me a lot because like I'm here to die and I don't want to be good at this. I'm so good at killing people. Yeah. Like I got like meritoriously promoted during boot camp. So like without like having like a college degree backing me up or anything like that, because I've never finished college. I'm 3 feet tall and can do a push-up. Yeah, I can do more than one push-up, buddy. But I enter the Marine Corps. I go through boot camp. Eventually, I get deployed. The job I'm doing in the Marine Corps is electronics maintenance. So I'm in like the upper echelons of like what Marines are doing as far as like ASVAB scores are concerned. I go to Afghanistan, and then like immediately I recognize like this whole war is fucking garbage and bullshit. And then like everything starts falling apart for me. I'm like, I don't think God is real either, or at least not like biblical God. And so I start like questioning everything. I start reading Nietzsche because why not? Um and yeah, I just have this like crisis of faith in everything that I believed my entire life. And then
really quick, Nietzsche has been such a nightmare through my life because I've been a avid is probably too much, but I've been a reader of Nietzsche since I was 16, right?
Yeah.
You're smart.
In fact, like apart from like Stephen King when I was a kid, it was all that I read at a certain point. And it's been both the way for me to justify the worst choices in my life and some of the best ones.
I'm the Uber mention. Whatever I does is okay.
Right. Because fundamentally, Nietzsche exists in the most enlightened sense as a form of metaphysics, or something like it, like a lamination over metaphysics at the very least, where it's simply like the joke that I keep on saying, and I promise it's funny to me because it's smart, but maybe it's not. But just you either could or you did, right? Or you're either,
right.
You either could or you're compelled to. But this type of Nietzschean thought ends up applying to so many different forms of life and thought, especially if you want to accomplish something like political change. Like you need to have thought like Nietzsche's, or else you're gonna fucking accomplish nothing and die in a ditch, I guess. Like what else are you gonna do? What other options do you have other than Nietzschean thought? But anyway, yeah. So he's been there for me in every moment in my political thought, which has always been very funny to me. But also ironic because before the internet really exploded into, Twitter and whatnot, I used to use Nietzsche to get laid, which you can't do anymore.
Yeah,
it's impossible to do that.
Nietzsche's the opposite of getting laid now.
Exactly. I'm a fossil.
What's the opposite of getting laid?
Sucking your own balls.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an opposite. No, that's not an opposite.
No, it's not. That's not at all.
That's quite similar. That's quite similar.
It's shitting. No, that's not right either. That's.
It's.
I think the point here is by trying to establish these oppositions, you're actually entering into a series of just false ideologies, right? You're not right. You're not describing what's available. You're describing the fantasy of a limit that doesn't really exist, which is what conservatives actually want you to think.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. That's really, really good. That's the best way to respond to a "go fuck yourself" Nietzsche joke I've ever thought of.
This is why we have Luke on,
But yeah, I mean, but
you had me on because I desperately wanted to be on. I really appreciate that.
No, I asked you, and you said I would love to be on, but
I've been implying.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a whole thing.
A lot of teasing.
But as my last little note about the politics change, which I do think is important, is that along with me fooling women into liking me because I pretended to read Nietzsche well. It was in fact me finding out that I was attracted to like Latina women that led me out of fascism. Which is both a joke and 1,000% true.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah. Anyway, Mike.
So yeah, I start reading Nietzsche. I start becoming an edgelord atheist for a while because I was raised in fundamental Christianity, and leaving the faith was major for me. It also meant like alienating all of my like familial relations all of my friends up until this moment, they were all, you know, heavily involved in the church and all came from the church. And when I said, yeah, I don't think God is real, like everything kind of fell apart for me. There were a couple of people who still, you know, talk to me despite that. And I'm grateful for that. And they're still very good friends to this day. But yeah, I just really fell off the God wagon, and ended up like feeling extremely depressed when I came back to the States. And you know, I had this like notion that the only time I felt meaning in my life was when I was in Afghanistan. So another deployment rotation comes around and they're like, "Hey, we need a couple more people." And I'm like, "Yep. I just got back from Afghanistan, but I would like to go back there because it was the only time I felt like at peace in some way." So I go back to Afghanistan, and then before I do that, I'm in training in 29 Palms, and I'm a shithead. I've always been a shithead my entire life. People will find that hard to believe.
Quick interruption.
Go ahead.
29 Palms, for those of you who do not know, is
worst
the
place.
third place worst in the world.
Yeah. An abominable shithole in the middle of the desert.
I'm sure worse as a military man, but as a civilian, it was the third worst place in the world.
Yeah. So I'm in 29 Palms. I'm in training. I decide to have a little fun with my unit because I have a bunch of contraband liquor while we're out on training. And I get drunk and I'm like, "Hey, we should all write slogans on our rifle buttstocks." And so I get this paint marker out. Paint marker like just immediately erases off of rifles, by the way. So it wasn't anything permanent or anything like that, but I get this paint marker out and I write on the buttstock of my rifle, "Bitches get stitches." And then some other people in my unit are like, "Hey, yeah, that's funny. Let's write some other things." And so I'm like, cashing checks, breaking necks on another guy's rifle. So I like lead this whole thing where I'm like writing a bunch of like
part of your political development.
Yes, yeah, it comes.
It sounds like Fall Out Boy lyrics. Sorry.
Yeah, it does.
So I write a bunch of dumbass slogans on everybody's rifle buttstocks, and then we go out for training shooting the next day, and I get identified as the ringleader of this group of people who
holy shit, Michael's always been the boss.
I get identified as this ringleader of people who have written dumb shit on their rifle buttstocks. And what they decide to do is, I'm going to go to Afghanistan still, but what I'm going to have to do when I'm in Afghanistan is I'm going to have to stand on guard duty, which means...
That's so funny, because whereas you and I have very similar stories with very, very different things on the line, right?
Sure.
When I worked at Home Depot, I drew everyone as a dinosaur on their apron, and I got in a huge amount of trouble. And then they punished me by not allowing me to draw anymore.
Oh no!
And you had to...
your art privileges at Home Depot were revoked.
Yeah. This does play in my politics.
Yeah.
I get put on a guard post for 2 months in Afghanistan as a punishment for me leading this like I don't know, rebellious thing of writing dumb shit on your rifle buttstock that immediately washes off.
Y'all are being nasty.
While I'm on guard posts, I meet Bahraini policemen. I talk to them a bunch. I learn a bunch of like conversational Arabic, and then I start also encountering like real actual Afghan people as a part of being on post. And like, fuck, like everything I'm doing here is wrong. I'm on the wrong side of things. Like if you know, a country like the US invaded the US, I would be on this opposite side of the fence. It kind of like upturned everything for me, and that's when I decided I can't do the Marine Corps anymore. I have to get out. And so I get out and I become like an extreme anti-government like person. which I kind of dial back in a little bit because I'm like, I can fix her, you know, sort of thing. Like looking at the American government and being like, yeah, no, there's a way we can make this work. And then once you know, a couple years later, you know, Donald Trump wins the election, and I'm like, all right, there's a bunch of white people that are like really like fucking out of their minds about this election, as if it wasn't like a foregone conclusion that we would elect the worst person ever, because that's what normally happens in American politics. It's just been kind of like obscured behind things like, oh, Barack Obama, he's a black guy, so he's not the worst person ever, and then he like gives everything to the financial sector and stuff like that, and makes America worse regardless of what his political alignments are. And then once Joe Biden becomes like the Democratic nominee, I'm like, okay, no, all this is garbage, all this is bullshit. I don't believe in states anymore. I think we should deconstruct every state that's ever existed. Yeah, it's kind of been like my political evolution is just trying to regain some faith in the system, realizing that faith in the system is the problem.
Me trying to demand that you become an anarchist for God knows how long, followed by, well, Joe Biden got elected.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you had some role in that.
I'm gay. This is taking a long ass time.
Well, yeah,
Brad, what's up?
Much like everyone, or at least both of yours, evangelical conservative upbringing.
I was
Very
really hoping it was gonna be Evangelion. Like you really
well, that was a personal. It's my personal beliefs.
Grew up on anime, jerked off to hentai.
I mean, I got a serial experiments lane necklace going on, so.
Oh. And I like how I'm describing this while I'm leaning on a fucking battle rifle. Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of opportunities. Along with growing up in an evangelical conservative house, we were also very poor. And it was one of those things. I was a fairly bright student, and college could have been an option, but I felt like it was something unobtainable because my socioeconomic status. Like, don't even pursue it. So what do I do at 17 years old? I raise my hand, I join the Air Force. I sign up for a couple of years and I say, you know, I'm just going to join for the GI Bill and then bounce. At this time, I'm kind of, I would say I'm like on the political scale, I'm at 3 on that chart. 3 o'clock.
Oh.
Oh, I had to take. I have some fucking new med, and it causes cotton mouth like I never had. So I ended up 2002. I deployed twice. 9/11, all that happened after I'd already joined, and it was like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into? I did my first 2 deployments. That was the Afghanistan campaign. And then my third deployment comes up right after the second one. And it was preparation for the invasion of Iraq. So I ended up, at that time, I was just trying to do whatever I could to save up the most money. So whenever I got out, you know, I had something to lean on. It was probably my third. I'd also met someone, your boy dated. I was living in Central Jersey at the time, and I met an incredible woman who introduced me to like mutual aid, community aid type deals. It was a concept like maybe I'd heard of, but never seen accomplished. So going into the parts of Philadelphia that needed the most help, and you know, using whatever resources available to help them. So that started to change my mind from this upbringing that there's nothing wrong with being nice to people. Fuck. And I'm also seeing at the same time, I'm I'm fucking tired of war. I'm tired of being in the military. It was so fucking exhausting. And I saw how wasteful the government was. I get it. You see it just fucking right up front.
It's really funny to think that we all start off more or less as antinomians and all end up finding ourselves back in that location. Like, it's just like, I love Jesus and everything's forgiven, actually, and everything is fine. And then you go through this loop of just like more and more extraneous, like forceful ideologies. And then finally you find yourself back and you're like, I don't give a fuck. Do what you want to do.
I'm going to step away for a moment. I know Brad's story,
up, Mike.
so I'm not missing anything.
Before you go.
Nope.
I hate you.
Nope, Brad's got to tell his story. I've got to pee in a toilet instead of a bottle.
I'll tell the story and then we can close it up.
What?
So, finish.
Deebs, mic up that bottle.
So 2003 rolls around. I spend 7 months deployed again. I just hate life. I hate life. I lost my faith during that time because that was when I would say I was exposed to the worst conditions, I guess. And also I didn't agree with the war. We're bombing innocent people. We're killing, we're not punishing, or there's no justice in it. Really just, I was done. Became atheist around that time as well. Kind of just, it was so impossible to hold on to faith after the last 3 years of my life. Both what was happening to me and then seeing how other people lived and were treated. It was it was very impactful. Around the same time, I think I wanted to say like I was a communist. I didn't understand what it meant. It was like those rough ideas of socialism and communism I kind of had, and I kind of identified with that, but it wasn't, I didn't have tight enough grip to really pursue it. 2008 happens. I get fucking caught up in the Obama thing. I become a proud shirt-wearing neolib, doing my duty and all that other fucking, I voted for the first time. I didn't vote during the Bush election. I get caught up in that, so I'm still this internet atheist. And I come up at the end of my enlistment. It had been 6 years. And I'm about 2 weeks from having to make my decision to get out or continue on and re-enlist. If I was going to stay there in New Jersey, I was done. I could not live like that anymore. I deployed 5 times total, 3 times in support of Iraq and twice to Afghanistan. But I was done. They chewed me up. I was married. I had a wife, a Korean American woman. We were married. So I ended up getting an email from someone that I had attended one of his courses. He said, "Hey, I really liked you. You impressed me. I'm about to leave this position. Do you want to become it's like a community college position?"
Wait, what? Could you repeat what happened there?
I was so. Did
he tell you to take his position at a community college?
No, well, it's Community College of the Air Force. We have it's through the University of Alabama, but we have like our own.
That's the most inconceivable thing I could possibly imagine in academia.
No, he was.
If someone gives you a call and says, "You were a great student of mine. Please take my fucking place." It's like that's what a
I guess
fucking 17-year-old imagines.
Yeah, no, that's how you get
a job.
That's Germany in like 1902. 1902
right.
You don't need you don't need your PhD.
No.
You've just been a good student. Which isn't to say like the just there isn't meant to in any sense to belittle Brad's experience here either. Sorry.
No, not at all. I ended up, I said yes. So I went and took the instructor position. I knew I wouldn't have to deploy. And it was one of those, I'll save money. That's all I'll do. Well, the accident jived with that plan too well. She drove me into debt. This was right also when the financial crisis happened. We got divorced. And I had bought a home in South Carolina. Nothing really changes like between any of my political or religious views. Then 2010, I have to move. I got assigned out to California. And at this time, I've just said I'm going to stick it out, do my 20s so I can retire young.
Where were you in California?
I was at Edwards Air Force Base.
Hell yeah.
So right outside Palmdale, yeah, in Barstow. I guess that's a close town.
The second worst place in the world.
Yes.
Right after 29 Palms.
Yeah.
No,
well, they're pretty much the same.
Third. Barstow is still the worst place in the world.
Barstow's pretty fucking terrible.
Yeah. Well, second worst.
I got remarried. And then life kind of went crazy after that.
You started killing kids.
No, I
choking people to death.
I kind of just turned off. I was living that fucking NPC life.
God, that's all I want right now.
It took some trauma in my personal life after about 6 years living like that. At this time, I'd kind of gotten into our friend circle, but I was just kind of on the shit posting fringe and not really doing too much else with it. 2016 rolls around. I get swept up in Bernie at this time. And I'm like, yeah, Democratic Socialist, da-da-da. I'm just fucking flavor of the week. Heart gets broken there. And with Bernie not getting nominated, along with a book, it was a single book recommendation that has ended up changing my political and I'd say my religious views. Very close friend of mine recommended, because I was kind of, I don't know, I was just, everything had lost its luster.
Mein Kampf.
Close, no. The Conquest of Bread.
I was going to say Being Time.
So
Beast.
that was some of the first, I guess, theory that I'd ever really studied or read into. And the concepts of those, the communal living, kind of taking a step back from everything. Our life is unnatural, and it'll lead to our downfall. And also not trusting the government has kicked in at this point too.
I mean, I'm not a Kropotkinite, but I respect that game so fucking hard. I think it's so fun. Hell
no,
yeah.
Yeah.
That rules. No, that's a great book.
Yeah. Oh, I've reread it several times. I ended up having a mental break around the same time. Really bad, it was a rough period. Life fell apart. And then I'd always been interested in the idea of thelema. When I first read about like the Golden Dawn, when I was reading about them when I was in high school, and I had a book, and I kind of had this rough idea of what it kind of represented. It kind of lined up with an anarchist political viewing.
Do as you will, so long as it harm none. Yeah.
Yep. So that's when I really ended up, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like accepting a philosophy. I don't consider it a religion. It's seen as a religion. People treat it like one, but I don't necessarily
it's like Buddhism,
think of it.
right? Where it's like, it's not a religion, but it's a religion, but it's not a religion.
Yeah. So yeah, and here I am now. I would say I lean pretty heavily anarchist. I hate the fucking government. I did finish my 20 years, and it was a moral dilemma the entire time. I remember I hate myself. I hate myself because I did that.
I hate myself for just working in the workforce for the years that you guys were in the military working with the government. So I mean, frankly, I didn't have to kill anyone directly, so you know, there's that. But I don't know that the difference to some degree is negligible. I feel, right? Like in terms of actual wrongdoing, not necessarily in terms of like the psychic damage it does to you or anything of the sort, but in terms of like what the fuck you actually did wrong. I think people just kind of fucked up.
I mean, yeah, it was we can get on a whole other episode with that.
Yeah. And in fact, we could do a whole nother episode, which I'm really curious about now, but I won't ask the question because we already spent so much time on this. But just the question of, I don't know, people who enter into like anarcho adjacent spaces and mysticism. I think that would be a really fun episode sometime in the future as well.
There's a great book, the occult features of anarchism.
The occult features of anarchism.
They made it work. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it kind of same thing, you know. Oh, Thelema makes sense.
Anyway, we have a Jordan Peterson clip to watch at this point.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask.
There's something more you.
So we're no longer doing this for the viewer or the listener. But what is people's?
So we can go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, kind of essentially. What's everybody's like endurance levels at right now? How far can we go?
I got to wake up in like 4 hours to help somebody move, but I'll be okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a date in the morning. No, I don't have a date in the morning. I have a date tomorrow. I'm drunk. I'm drunk is what I am.
Wow, great.
I don't know. No, I have to teach a workshop in the morning. I have to teach a
And Luke, how are you doing?
We're fine.
Oh, I'm very, very drunk. So
hell yeah. All right, let's watch some of this Jordan Peterson. This is Jordan Peterson. Why Twitter is insane.
Before diving into this topic, I've got to clarify something. I am reading some of the pieces that I'm producing, and that means that these are things that I wrote. The reason I'm doing that rather than speaking extemporaneously is because now and then, if I'm pushing myself to the limits of my conceptual ability, then I have to choose my words with the undue care that writing allows. And I suppose that has the disadvantage that's associated with reading something.
Shut up!
I see some thoughts. Let's get some thoughts.
I want to hear what Dorian has to say about this, because I'm about to go into paroxysm of you know, discourse rattly rage.
Writing,
but oh my God,
is complicated, right?
No,
crazy
it couldn't be.
Yeah. So writing, as I myself, as someone who is something
of a shit poster,
Poundian.
Oh, sorry.
Or shit poster. Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. Of course.
Adjacent at least.
And shit posting. Fascist adjacent. No, absolutely.
You're already saying it with your hands. But Ezra Pound believed in the immediacy of meaning and language in order to produce something like poetry. And when you're writing poetry and you're writing something that's actually good, 95% of the time, it's something that simply flows through your fingers because you've developed the muscles to produce something like that.
So are you saying that's opposed to what Peterson's position of undue care is, or something like that? Just the most like soy take on writing possible.
Mind you, this is a guy that you can clearly see reading off a teleprompter for like several of his releases. So the fact that he's coming out as like, oh, this is pre-written guy is bullshit to begin with.
I want to make sure this isn't misunderstood what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Which is that it's like if you've ever taken a martial art, right? If you've ever learned how to fight, it's something that you do the same thing over and over and over and over again until you learn how to respond, and then it happens automatically, right? And that's what writing fundamentally is, where you continuously experience the same experiences in life over and over and over again. You learn what to look for, and then eventually you find a way to just expel it in a way that makes sense, or at least makes sense enough in the moment.
Sorry, sorry, Danko, can I just say, we could say something like makes sense or makes force might be another way to say, because
it makes something. It makes,
because we could say like sense could be, sense in the sensual or sense in the rational, but it's always a forceful interruption.
It makes,
and as much as like, I think Deebs said before, these are just, these are theory notes. I have learned, unfortunately, I did martial arts, and unfortunately, I did get into a lot of fights in school, and I can see some, like, an appropriate analogy with what Danko is saying. Like, I feel like, now I feel like that drag is making me sound sarcastic, but with what you're saying here is very real for me in the way that I've never been in a combat situation like someone who's been in a war, but I've been in a school fight, and I've been in adult fights a lot, and which isn't to say I'm not a tough guy at all. Like I am.
That's cool. Really, you got rock hard balls. That's fine.
I was going to say in your
I'm a theory wimp who talks too much shit. That's all my thing is. I've always put myself in the way of harm, and I think that's what writing is. That's what writing is, though. Like, whereas Peterson is not willing to countenance that. Like, he's constantly claiming, like, I'm telling the truth. Like, I can't do the cool voice that Danko can, but he's like, I'm telling, I'm going to put myself in harm's way and whatever. I don't care. But he cares to the point where he makes himself comatose. That's not combat.
I mean, the problem with what, like, so Hemingway has that quote that I feel everyone misappropriates, right? That writing is simple. You just stand at a typewriter and bleed.
Is that your Hemingway?
No, I don't
know. I'm Ernest Hemingway.
But the problem, so I think he's right, but I think the way he's read is wrong, right? Which is that no, you don't just stand at a typewriter and suffer. Like, I feel like that's how it's generally read. But what I think is actually occurring there is that you produce an organic connection to something which exists as an extension of yourself. And that's what writing fundamentally is. You stand along with something which machines into you and out of you in order to continue your being. That's what writing is.
Yeah, well, so I guess my disagreement here, and I'm sorry, maybe this is like
cool.
Good. Maybe this is more for a different conversation, but in some sense, I would say when you say it's the organic, and this is my natural, shitty, Deleuze pill take, which would be, well, we don't want to do the organic or the organismic kind of thing.
Right.
Like we're happy. We're happy. Yeah, I'm happy to admit to organs, but the organ that escapes you is no longer organized by your organism. So it's not an extension of you.
Right.
It's a becoming, and which would be to say you have to be ready to let go of you as well.
And fundamentally, I think that's actually kind of
Peterson's not ready to let go of Peterson. Right? I'm sorry. Peterson is not letting go of Peterson. He needs to be reduced back to where he was and made safe again. But that never existed. And sorry, I'll stop now.
But for something to be released from you at all in order to become non-organic, you need to admit that it functions as something which continues off of you, right? Which is the basic enough thought. But the way that has to be a thinking about that kind of quote is that, you're suffering, you're bleeding. The way that people think about the quotation or the term bleeding is that it continues your own meaning and your own
my
your own
lifeblood flows out of
organization.
me. My lifeblood flows out of me. That's the situation.
Right. It is
which isn't true, but it's not true.
Right. Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what's true either.
Another thing that's funny about this little excerpt that we watched is he mentions when I'm like reaching the limits of my thought. Like,
yeah, that's nuts to me. Like
I'm thinking so far beyond my human form.
That's what sucks about people who have only experienced alcohol.
Yeah.
As like an extreme point, like of limit experience outside of any other form of psychedelic or weed is psychedelic, but any other form of consciousness changing drug. Because I always feel like, and after moving to Milwaukee, I especially experienced this, where people who only experience alcohol as their way of transitioning to other forms of existing or cognizance or being are boring as fuck.
Yeah.
And simply don't know what human experience can be for the most part. And they just end up thinking, well, I have this general mainline experience. And then there's a floor beneath that. And they can justify that the rest of their experience by saying, well, of course there is no sky because the sky itself does not exist, right?
It's also like a power level thing too, where it's like
it is power level because I'm really strong.
Yeah, well, I just mean like what Jordan Peterson is saying is
what you mean is I'm really strong.
And
Jesus.
Can I ask like a possibly like an incredibly inane question? But this is the DM, like the dungeon master in me. You've got a Deleuze and Dragons person. I'm not just
the sex dungeon master in you.
Well, no, there's nothing.
Show
sex.
us your balls.
Actually,
yeah.
Really? Like in the chat or no?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
We'll get taken off YouTube.
No, but I guess what I want to, yeah. So power levels on a level of from 3 to 18. What are your strength? Like your strength score, Danko versus Deebs. Like not even like what are your perceived personal strength scores on a scale of 3 to 18?
Depends.
-5 charisma.
No. Only strength. I'm not asking about any of your other stats.
I'd say 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
pull versus push is different here. So we would need to split it there because Mike and I have lifted together. Not a lot, just a tiny amount inside of the home gym, but we've lifted together. And Deebs has a significantly higher push than I do. But I still have a very powerful pull.
Well, this reminds me of 2.5's edition, like the movement between the very late 90s to early 2000s, 2.5 transition to third, where they started to make these differences. So yeah, maybe this is a question that can't be answered, which again is just a condition of the postmodernism. Like it's diagnostic, not normative.
Yeah. I remember moving on from 3.5 to 4 and being like, oh my God, what a nightmare. And then people have been sending me messages recently. Like, I guess I'm just in the mood to do some kind of role play thing. But
go on.
And then bringing up like additional editions, like 5th edition or whatever. And I'm just being like,
and you're the editions guy as far as you've actually said as well, so that's fine.
Like that's not real, right? 5th edition?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
5th
God.
edition's
Well,
the
no, I know.
edition.
Like I know it is. I know it's real, but it's still like it fucks with my brain because it's like, no, 3.5, and then everyone was like, fuck it, we're not playing 4th edition.
Well, 4th sucks. 3.5
4th was
great.
the fucking World of Warcraft version of D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everyone's like, we're playing 5th. And I was like, no, you guys are way ahead of me. And I refuse to admit it's even real. Like, I'm going to put my head in the
more
sand.
like 3.5 than a lot of people would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
They're trying to streamline 3.5. Yeah, like,
I haven't
I
played
think...
D&D proper in so many years. Yeah.
I haven't played in 2 weeks and it's really stressing me out. Like,
I play other things. I play Call of Cthulhu. I've played
and you don't invite me?
Mike.
Oh,
You're invited for the next one. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd play Call of Cthulhu.
All right. More Jordan Peterson.
Ah!
The true Eldritch Horror.
Off the cuff, but the advantage of precision and care. So today I'm going to read a piece that I entitled, Why Twitter is Insane. It is often said that social media is driving us out of our minds, individually and collectively. Is this true? And if so, how and why? The eminent social psychologist Jonathan Haidt recently wrote a hard-hitting article showing that use of certain forms of social media, particularly by girls just entering adolescence, was directly and causally associated with higher rates of depression and depression-related symptoms since the early to mid-2010s. I had been thinking along broadly similar lines, particularly with regard to Twitter and how its incentives are structured compared to those that characterize healthy human interactions. The extent of its harmful pathology has recently been brought home to me as a consequence of those deliberations. A thought experiment. Imagine, for example, that you learned a particular pattern of communication in your family, one that, when used on others, triggered a passive or even outright aggressive resistance. By definition, the unusual method of communication you had been taught, one that did not generalize well to the broader social environment, would characterize you, at least as far as society is concerned, as insane. Now, let's ask, how does Twitter, like that family, differ from the real world in how it requires us to communicate with each other? How does it make us, too, insane? The first way is in the manner in which it bypasses the tradition.
All right. What's your problem?
I'm having
How does
1 + 1 differ from an average of all numbers on Earth? Motherfucker.
1 + 1 = 2, but what about 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 divided by 5 and carry the fourth? Yeah.
N + 1 though. Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry, and it's also the difference between like, so what if we were using, like, maybe I'm speaking out of like my understanding, but like, what if we were using the like 1 as a determination in algebra or calculus, or in like, 1 stands for something as a conceptual signifier in philosophy? Like, all of the shit that he's saying is just assuming that like there are these like strange essences, which I guess he's calling.
And when you have to solve for X, you better be ready for that, bucko.
Yeah. So I guess that was the second part of what I was saying.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And also, yeah. So now I'm starting to think Deebs does, like, I hate saying this, but Deebs doesn't need Danko. You could do the Ruben. You could do the Ruben Peterson stage play on your own. Now, I would like to see Danko playing the Doctor, but yeah, you can clearly do both.
Look, I've been told several times that I don't need Danko, and I refuse that.
Well, I'm saying this because I want him for me.
The light needs the dark. I don't know any other metaphors.
The guitar needs the Deleuze.
Yeah, right. And I don't know which one of those I am, but
you either die Michael Deebs or live long enough to be a replacement for Danko.
Ghastly.
Now, when Danko threatened to kill me, maybe I kill him.
I'll kill you. I'll kill him.
I think you guys need to fly to a neutral country between Australia and the U.S. Maybe Ukraine, I think, is the most neutral country between those two.
I feel like
fire at one another.
Now you're threatening. Now you're threatening me. I came here for a good time, Deebs.
Sorry, man.
I know I've ruined your show. I'm sorry.
No, you haven't ruined anything.
That's my favorite part about this.
Yeah.
Is it my fault it's taken 8 hours to get through to link 1.5?
A little bit, but
let's keep going.
Well, I mean, I think we've kind of watched all we need to about this Twitter video.
Thank God, because fuck that setting. Oh my God.
So let's go to this next one, and let's try to make it through the whole clip. Oh, never mind. Let's try to make it through some of this clip without interrupting, and then we'll move on to another one.
Love you, Deebs.
It's crazy to me, frankly, that you've been able to click on so many things and read so many pages without pop-ups or porn ads.
Well, that's because I have the proper.
Just saying.
What is going on with John? And I'm still sad that I didn't get to meet him. Well, no, yeah, rest in work. We've already said this.
Rest in power. Rest in worker power.
Rest in flour.
Rest in labor.
Yeah, so that's not a new weapon. That's just hope.
Yeah. Here's Jordan Peterson on why he joined the Daily Wire.
Fuck you.
I recently joined forces with the Daily Wire in a new venture.
All right, that already requires a pause. Joined forces.
Sorry, and just look at his face. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know that's his normal face. But yeah, I've already joined.
This is my joined forces face.
It's not.
It's half pouty.
That's his elongated face still. Like if you look at it, that's not his face relaxing. That's him still drawing his face out to seem more severe than it already was.
Yeah.
And
Aquiline,
I
believe, is the word.
Very slightly. It's whole thing. But the other thing is that let me just point out about the Daily Wire to anyone that might be listening to us that might be a little bit more on the lib side, which, God bless, welcome, thank you.
Also, kill the cop in your head. But go on.
Kill the cop in your head, yes. But the Daily Wire is, I would say, 150% worse than Breitbart is.
Yeah, for sure.
It is the worst non-Stormfront publication. It's the worst non-popular publication that people generally read and retweet. I think. Like the Daily Wire is just insane, is what it is.
And it's run by
and owned by Capital. But
run by Ben Shapiro, like Jewish evangelical.
That's the funny thing, is I think he sucks, but he's mostly just funny. But the Daily Wire itself as a publication is fucking off the wall nuts. It's awful.
It sucks. But yeah, here's Jordan Peterson telling you that he doesn't care if it's illegal. You need to get an abortion because it's.
Wait, what?
I mean that's the expression he's giving.
Play it.
Venture they call Daily Wire Plus. Daily Wire Plus. The plan is to build a multimedia empire offering services on the philosophical, educational, journalistic, and entertainment front, including movies, TV shows, and media for children, and an empire that will not fall prey to the woke authoritarianism that has become increasingly mandatory in so many places, including, let's say, the once great Disney. Why did I decide to do this? And what does Daily Wire Plus offer?
Would we like to comment on the once great Disney?
Yes! Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So he's like, okay, what is he talking about? Great here. Sorry, we're talking about
the once great Disney who aligned with the Nazis during World War II.
Maybe he's talking about Song of the South.
But you know what he loves most, and those comments are both he's completely. This isn't the background, but isn't Pinocchio a famous fucking Disney film?
Yes.
And isn't his whole shit
the Pinocchio Christ?
We need to understand everything about Christ through Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Right. The one's great. So because now Disney has things and I guess
black women.
Well, and yeah, so all of these things and I guess I'm not enough up on Disney culture, but I have seen all this stuff, but it's yeah, so it's not backing up everything that he thinks is cool. But if I'm watching Disney Plus in Australia, the only like maybe this is going to like out me as someone with with terrible taste, but I watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I can only get it on Disney. I'm pretty sure that's not something that he thinks Disney should be, and it's certainly not something that Disney started as.
I mean, it sucks because the reason that he feels this way is simply because of the fact that Disney and the Republican Party in Florida have differences of opinion.
But Disney is a capital product and project. So like, I was very worried about like, until I got super wasted about coming here and talking with you guys about this, because I have no real understanding about your context, but also how could you possibly, because you have such a, you have 50 states and we have like what fucking 4 and 2 territories.
Big, stupid country.
Yeah, you have a big stupid country that's scared of federalism. That said, our federalism in this country was based on not letting anyone who wasn't white in, even though we moved here and weren't white, and were white and people who weren't. But yeah, I guess So I guess I'm saying like this whole like Disney has a huge outsized influence, right, in a certain state, and that's a big thing, right? And also, funnily, it's also where Dave Rubin is now too, right? I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm just saying that Dave Rubin needs to be the new warlock of Disney Top Mountain. That would be a very cool adventure to run like Libstrook, and they get to the top and defeat him in an argument of facts and ideas. Like maybe you encounter a room where there's a Minotaur and like 2 of them, and one of them offers you a potion of, high level ideas, and the other one gives you low level ideas. And if you take the wrong
Ruben
one,
has a Minotaur like, look, I've been lost in this maze for a long time and I don't know where I'm going, but I know that these liberals keep lying to me and they keep telling me that Joe Biden is a communist, and it turns out that I bought a map from a wizard, and this wizard is a capitalist, and I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel here.
That's a very hopeful idea of the pessimism that I'm envisaging, because like fighting fantasy books always end on page 400, and so you're on like page 292 in the fighting fantasy book, and you've just defeated AOC, who I take is like a communist banshee in your country. But then on page 400,
totally for communism.
Yeah, on page 400 you run into communist, fighting communist Joe, and
we actually had to fight Kamala Harris, the communist, on page 390.
Oh, so yeah, sorry. See, we're working this out. We're working this out in real time. But then on page 400, when you actually defeat communism, by striking the spine of the free market and letting the free market flow through the spine of, the arch-lich of Joe Biden. What you encounter on the other side of that is like, it's probably something like, and this is to get to communism. What you actually find then is just NATO or George Soros or any other like big capitalist force,
a UN committee that won't kill people.
Yeah, and it's just like, welcome, brave adventurer. Are you ready to enter the dungeon again?
Yeah,
and you fought and you do it, and then are you ready to vote?
Are you ready to build a road to a community in South Africa where UN peacekeepers will accidentally shoot the wrong people sometimes? Oh, yeah. Let's
First,
Jordan Peterson.
I like working with Ben Shapiro and his crew. Shapiro and I have some great plans to undertake things together that we could not do easily apart. We're going to run a seminar on Exodus, for example, in late July, bringing together the smartest and most articulate people we both know to run through that book in an attempt to enlighten ourselves and others, and to prepare me to do another biblical series in the same vein as the Genesis productions of 2017. Then we're going to Israel to do something similar there with the holy sites of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In April and May of next year, we're planning to tour Eastern Europe to talk with political and cultural leaders there, particularly about the legacy of communism and their well-grounded fears of the resurgence of such ideas in the West. And that's not all. Second, I like the unabashedly shameless capitalist ethos of the Daily Wire crew. They made me a great deal financially, one that offers me essentially unlimited creative freedom and opportunity, and still means that I can use YouTube, as I have been, to offer free content to a worldwide audience. I've always deemed myself an evil capitalist. I run my own businesses on a for-profit basis, with few exceptions, learning through hard experience that the discipline imposed by the necessity of pleasing an audience on an ongoing basis is a plus, not a minus. Third, I have been working in isolation for a long time, essentially since departing from the university. I've had a very good team of people around me, but we can only do so much while concentrating on producing high-quality educational and journalistic content. And having a professional crew of several hundred people available to handle logistics, filming, production, travel, editing, distribution, marketing, and merchandising is a non-trivial advantage. Fourth, it was prudent to protect myself and the intellectual property I have produced and will continue to produce. I was just banned from Twitter, synchronistically, so to speak, the same day I partnered with the Daily Wire. YouTube and I are getting along, for now, although their lack of transparency on the algorithm front is worrisome. But God only knows when I will say something that the invisible powers that be, including some that are artificially intelligent in nature, will decide that they've heard enough from the reprehensible magic super Nazi. There are more reasons, but that's a good start. I would like to also let everyone watching and listening know that I have pored over the details of this arrangement for months. And thank you to my daughter, Michaela, and her husband, Jordan Fuller, for attending so carefully to the details of this. And that we are thrilled with the outcome and ready to go forward. No holds barred. To subscribe, go to dailywireplus.com. You will have immediate access to the new projects that we have posted, including a new mini-series, Dragons, Monsters, and Men, that I recorded as the kickoff for the DW Plus project.
Let's fucking
Daily Wire Plus has 890,000 subscribers. Netflix has 200 million. DW Plus is not woke. Is Netflix? Decide that for yourself, but give some consideration to supporting this new joint venture and help us continue educating and informing and battling on the side of tradition in the raging culture war. Go, if you would, to dailywireplus.com to subscribe. That's dailywireplus.com. And if you haven't yet done so, and you feel like doing it, hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. Thanks very much, all of you.
So,
big stuff there.
We should probably be spending Benzo Rehab Dungeon money on getting a subscription to that, right?
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome,
isn't it?
I popped my poor balloon.
So my biggest takeaway was his daughter married a guy with his same name. Didn't know that. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of this video, was like, and my daughter and these people with guns to my head are all my friends, and I love them.
His cadence and like sentence structure reminds me of JUULy. So he talks in like these very odd segments, just like JUULy, with no pitch or tone or anything changing.
Do you think he's ever going to learn how to swim?
My man has been scuba diving.
What some may consider crippling autism. But I would like to point out that dragons are real, and I am going to fight them.
You need to get access there and just post like dragon furry porn.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Thanks for listening. Take everyone's medicine.
All right. Well, so what Danko was indicating is
go in your godmother's bathroom and take all of her medicine and go to sleep.
I think Danko wants us to end.
What
is what's happening right now?
We got a couple more.
All right. Well, yeah, we do. Do we want to do the JUUL stuff? Because I don't think we need to do the JUUL stuff.
What the fuck is the JUUL stuff?
Like the
I don't
vape
know what that
JUUL?
means.
The vape.
Oh,
Christmas
JUUL,
in
not
JUULy. That's like the whole.
Well, we have to now.
No, we don't have to.
I thought we were just doing the whole, like,
Just
you're
cover it
honoring
quickly,
me
you
because
prick.
when it's cold in Australia, we do that. And then you were like, Luke's coming on.
I'm just gonna say,
I would rather do the Hunter Biden stuff. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, so JUUL got banned, and cigarettes are way cooler and better anyway.
Yeah, and then JUUL got unbanned because when JUUL was banned, somebody was like, "Ah, shit, that's a lot of tax dollars that we're missing out on all of a sudden."
Yeah.
And now the courts are like gonna have like a weird little like a docking struggle where they're gonna figure out whose urethra is big enough to fit the other one inside of.
So just smoke cigarettes, guys.
Yeah,
Just
smoke
do it.
cigarettes are cooler
Just
and
do it.
You look better. You smell
feel
worse,
so much
but
better, so much more
smelling worse is
satisfying.
sometimes like the better option.
And well, hold on, because you do smell stronger off of cigarettes. But would you rather smell? Okay, so let me rewind.
Oh, Jesus
I've had a lot of
Christ.
cars that yeah, I know. I've had a lot of cars that have overheating problems because coolant leaks into the heating core for like the fucking the air system.
Sure.
I don't know how cars work. But it always ends up producing this really sickly sweet cinnamony smell that's also kind of like fish. It just sucks.
Yeah,
a
it's
bad fucking
antifreeze.
smell. Coolant burning. Yeah. And that burning is awful. And that's what I always think of when I think about smoking vapes, where it's just like it smells sickly sweet, it's awful, it's bad. Like people
choke
think
on
it's
it a
probably
little bit.
better, but it's actually not. Because when you smoke cigarettes smell like cigarettes. Right. Like, and it's a complex smell, but it's like pouring whiskey on something and being like, oh fuck, I have to smell whiskey all the time. Versus I poured 12 Monster Energy flavors on something, which just smells sweet and fucking awful, and your body is built to pick up on sweetness versus on all these other things.
You know, I
all you do is smell sweet. You just smell sweet and bad.
Okay. I experienced this thing a couple of weeks ago where a gas station I went to had 3 12-ounce Red Bulls for $5, which is a pretty fucking good deal.
Yeah, because Red Bull's expensive and shitty. Fuck you.
Yeah, whatever. It's my preferred energy drink of choice.
You're the only male that I know that thinks that, by the way.
I don't know what you're trying to say about me, but I reject it regardless. Anyways, I go to this gas station. I get the 3 for $5 12-ounce Red Bull deal, which is actually pretty fucking good. I go to work. I end my work day. Well, no, actually I didn't end my work day. I had to go to a hardware store, and before I went into the hardware store, I was like, I have this screwdriver in my pocket. I don't want to walk into the hardware store with the screwdriver in my pocket because somebody might be like, hey, you got a screwdriver in your pocket. You might have stolen that or something like that. I don't want to deal with any of that shit. So I walk a couple steps away from my car. I'm like, I got the screwdriver in my pocket. I open up my car door. I toss my screwdriver into the passenger side, right? It bounces off the cushion, and then does this miraculous flip where it like pinpoints onto one of these cans of Red Bull, pierces it, and Red Bull isn't like a carbonized drink or anything like that, but it's still pressurized. And so the second
isn't it?
No, it's not. No.
It is.
No, it's not.
No.
Anyways, regardless, the screwdriver lands directly on this Red Bull can and punctures it, and the pressure of the can just starts spraying everywhere. And my car smelled like absolute dog shit for 2 weeks as I like kept on cleaning everything. So yeah, sickly sweet, gross, don't like it.
Hell yeah. But Red Bull's carbonated, right?
What's up?
Red Bull's carbonated.
I don't know. I feel like you're looking it up right now, so you tell me.
I am, but like no one's asking that question because it's so obvious. It's like asking if fucking Sprite is.
I haven't opened a fucking Red Bull ever, so
is Coca-Cola carbonated? Holy shit! What is soda? Yeah.
Anyways,
I guess I've experienced an exploding can of Coke. I've never experienced an exploding can of Red Bull. I don't know if that.
How often do you drink Red Bull?
Well,
in their tiny little cans.
I did for like that. Okay, that's it. That's it. Both those speak to pressure, possibly, but in a more unhappy time of my life, which isn't to say I'm happy now, but in a more unhappy time of my life, I drank lots of energy drinks, including Red Bull. And just now, Diet Pepsi gets me through. I don't need a Red Bull. Because a Red Bull is a much more damaging beverage to the lining of my stomach, which has already been brutalized by gin and wine.
Your palate's mature.
Internal organs degrade as I become a body without organs.
Look, we need to talk about Hunter Biden.
Absolutely. No, this dude is BWO.
Next.
What's that?
I just said dude's rock. That's
dude's rock. Yeah.
So Hunter Biden phone hack claims test platforms misinformation policies.
And let me just say really quickly before we get into all of this, we were going to build up a Google Drive link with a bunch of shit that we found through a bunch of group chats about his posts, but they all got either nuked or frozen. And then from there, I realized that it was impossible to tell which ones were real, which ones were fake. And then also so many of them had dick and balls in them that there was just no way for us to share random pictures of the Hunter Biden stuff. So while we could have spent countless hours figuring out the real ones and then figuring out which ones to show you that were still funny that didn't have his asshole open on him, like
yeah. So again, like this is the terrible shithead of me, but it doesn't strike me that the decision between dick and balls and not dick and balls is random. You've specifically decided not to show us dick and balls, and not even in
it's
the
only
chat.
form of censorship I've ever performed on this podcast. Actually,
yeah, very rare
Usually
form
I'm
of
the anti,
yeah.
Wait,
censorship.
Danko, you don't think that you've talked over a BIPOC person? That's censorship.
Yeah, let's address that. No, just kidding. Let's not address that.
I've come here as a woke moralist. I am the JBP Antichrist.
Look, all I'm going to say really quickly is that if anyone has any questions why women don't come on this podcast, it's because I talk over them. It's because I hate them. It's because women
be shopping.
Jesus. Great.
And if I had known that was the guest policy, like, it wouldn't have changed a thing because I was invited on this podcast because of your hatred of women.
Could someone make a Derek Shopping meme?
No. No. Let's not do
like
that.
Right now? Like right now?
Yeah.
So,
isn't that what you normally do?
Jesus Christ.
This article, this article that we're looking at, and we had to get through before we end this thing. We had to get through this article. The last thing I ask of any of you. Once again, search and social media platforms are facing moderation challenges tied to data allegedly leaked from the president's son's devices. Over the weekend, users of 4chan's /poll message board were whipped into a frenzy of excitement by one poster claiming to have hacked into Hunter Biden's phone. Exact details are hard to confirm, but the original poster suggests that they have used a tool called iPhone Backup Extractor to recover backup copies of the contents of an iPhone. I'm choking on my own ephemera now. The contents of an iPhone and iPad belonging to Hunter Biden, possibly compromising his iCloud account and downloading the data from the cloud. The 4chan poster.
I love how every hacking tool before 2003 had some dope ass name, but everything past then just follows the names of like LimeWire files where it's like Dick shut offer 5,000 Firefox no download time 2.
Yeah, sorry. Dick shut off for 5,000 is completely cool and dope and legit.
That is actually that does rule.
I would download that. I don't even know what it does, but I'm gonna download it.
Some of these,
like, if you can shut off my dick for 5,000 measures of whatever it's measuring, that will free up a lot of my desiring, and I'm cool with this.
So the 4chan poster shared further instructions about how to decrypt the backup files, and other users began to share images, video, and messages allegedly taken from the phone. No news outlet has confirmed that the content is genuine, but Motherboard reports that at least some of the images shared on 4chan haven't previously appeared anywhere else online. Meanwhile, the Secret Service said on Monday evening that it was aware of the alleged hack, but was not in a position to make a public comment or public comments on potential investigative actions.
Can I read one of his poems really quick? Because I have it on my phone.
Yes, there we go.
He wrote poems?
He did
and you are
write
that dope
poems.
ass poetry.
He's mentioned it in the past as well.
This is the kind of content I wanted. Go ahead, read the poem.
This is gonna be tough, but I am literally at this point a professional poetry reader, so I should be able to do this. I just have to learn how to pronounce some of his words.
If the N-word is giving you trouble, sorry, John's not here today.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking shit!
that was a bit rough. Sorry. Go on.
Even in Australia, we don't.
Yeah, you just say abo.
Yeah, I can't believe when you fucks say this, because when I was on 8 plates and that was dropped, I was like, holy shit. Do you know that's the N-word, you fucks?
It has no context for us. It's just a funny thing.
Well, it's
no.
Yeah.
No, I know. Like,
Whoa.
I shouldn't say it in that case, but
I'm reeling. I'm fucking reeling. And I still love you, but I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Nincompoop.
Kate I is lesbian eating Esther's ass. Can I interrupt myself occasionally to actually give takes on the poetry?
Am I having a stroke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Imagine you're having a stroke the whole time, because some of this is actually beautiful. Right. Kate I is lesbian eating Esther's ass. I won't interrupt. Actually, I'm just going to let you experience.
No, just follow. Just read it through, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kate I is lesbian eating Esther's ass. Go back to Wakanda, Lexi. You'll get there fast. Grace T likes Mj. Hope she doses shoot here. Esther smells so bad she could even kill a bear. Spelled bear as in B-A-R-E. It's a pun, I think. Tyler thinks he is so good but can't aim. You jumper is so Brock. Go while of that cum stain. Trying to slide into the DM. But that just throw Sade. Just trying to hurt yourself to get attention. You got those big ears, but you can't even listen. Stop thinking you cool and go mow my lawn. Spelled without W's. Go like that Doretto, Dust. You are such a fret. Why are you running? Go back to the camp. Don't talk shit or I will throw you into the chamber. Why you such a N space IZI play with Legos? Bold me a gas chamber so I can go do trying to eat your figget.
Oh,
go take off that jacket. You think you are cool, but you're just retarded.
Whoa. You guys
Don't
normally
get
say
me
our
started
word.
on the fucking chode. Hey, can't even walk. His armid are bigger than his legs. It's like reading Middle English half the time.
Yeah, so something that struck me in this, like, look, you're like Danko. This isn't me like here as your mom or as Donna Haraway and your. It's cool. Like I'm not here as Donna Haraway and you're my dog and we're gonna like fuck. But what I'm doing here is saying, holy shit, you read that well. And as you know, as far as poetry goes, as the sack of shit goes, but there are parts I was like, man, this is like it's getting at what modernism is. And then there are things like where it's like big ears but can't listen. I'm like, this is the worst example of just like like a parody of slam poetry as well. It's like, here's what I think like, you know, I'm a dude of a certain age, right? And I know what a rhyme is and like what a half rhyme is. And here we go. And a lot of it is that, but so much of it is actually really like interesting.
Yeah.
But the way you read it, I think makes me think that it is that there's a lot in it, right? But and also there's tons in this, you know, this is not controversial. There's just tons in like what people think poetry is too, even when it's terrible. Because like, you know, one of the biggest like coal barons that sort of helps run the country I live in, she publishes books of poetry and it's like 20 billion times F grade to that.
I didn't know Rupi Kaur was in charge of your country.
Dude, I will still say R.M. Drake is still the worst poet of our time.
I don't know who that is.
He's
not even a poet, if we're being honest.
It's true. To be loved and needed is one hell of a drug.
So
that sounds dope.
It's just that shit. It's that. He's just saying, he takes like quotes from action movies essentially and then just says like, it's a poem now. Boom! And he sucks. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
One of the reasons I brought this particular article up is this line right here, which I've highlighted, which says, I'll highlight a little bit more of it, I guess. Some videos appear to show Hunter Biden smoking crack cocaine or in sexual encounters with women believed to be escorts. It's great fodder for conservative pundits, but there's no real argument that publishing these clips is in the public interest. Highly disagree with that. I think this is hilarious, and the fact that I think this is hilarious makes it public interest. And if you could get any one of the Trump boys caught in the same circumstance, I would also laugh, and that would be public interest.
Genuine human liberation to any degree at all, it means that you should believe that the releasing of material such as this for any sort of sovereign party outside of the individual or the individual is hysterical.
Right. And so, you know, also like in a functional sense, Hunter Biden, crack aficionado, hooker aficionado, his dad happens to be the guy that wrote the crime bill that like criminalizes all this stuff. And so saying that this isn't in the public interest, saying that this isn't in the public interest, that the son of the crime bill guy is involved in all the crime bill things, is like really kind of selling this whole thing short. And really kind of like lays bare the power structure of how all these things work, and that like you're not allowed to criticize the person that puts you in jail despite them being guilty of all the same things that put you in jail.
But and this is something I've thought about a lot over the last couple of weeks, even independent of the podcast. But just the fact that it sucks, because this is the one of the reasons that calling people out for hypocrisy doesn't work. Right. Is the fact that the reason that Joe Biden is able to exist in this framework where his second favorite son is going ahead.
Well, his favorite son died so that he could never have to
wait. So by second favorite you also mean least favorite?
Yes.
Like, so like we need to like you know, take that qualifier to the extreme.
Right.
It must be.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So his least favorite son is a crack addict, and he needs to determine how to defend us from crack. Right. And his determination, because he has a limited view of how the universe works, and because if you've read Hunter Biden's biography, and it's not like I've gotten ahead of Mike or anything like that, but I have read a bit of it, which is why I went ahead and suggested it. He goes ahead. So Hunter Biden is 1,000% unaware of his class. He just doesn't know.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
He thinks that everybody who exists has all these like opportunities where they just like do shit tons of drugs, and like there's no ramifications.
Well, it's worse than that. Like it's because everyone thinks that to some well, most people think that to some
then he
degree,
also thinks like he can make like oil deals in Ukraine without any ramifications.
So the two really notable moments for Hunter Biden for me are that he ends up finding himself in a house that's worth $1 million or more, or probably multi-millions. And he just kind of shrugs it off as like, you know, we just lived in a house.
Yeah.
And it's like, it cost millions of dollars. You didn't notice that you had the nicest house in the universe.
I don't know where this house came from, but I'm going to snort a bunch of cocaine and then...
And again, like, as someone who was house poor himself, like, you know, kind of thing, pretty weird that you could live in a multi-million-dollar house. And then the other moment of it is what Mike was just pointing out, where it's like when you're given a job working for Ukrainian like oil firms, and you're just kind of like, I just know how shit works, so they gave me a job.
Yeah, I'm just so nuts. Like in tune with how like business is, and it turns out.
But the original thought that I had here though was just that you know, I still do think, and I have to be careful how I say this because I know everyone's going to be angry at me, just like they were angry with me about saying that the Federal Reserve exists.
So, real quick, to preface this, when people are angry at you, they message me to say that you shouldn't be on the podcast anymore. So I also suffer, but go on.
Good.
Go
they
off,
should
King.
Say I shouldn't be on here. Fuck them. They're all bitches.
I get really sad when you don't show up. Like
the one
yeah,
time.
So it's been more than once.
Has it been twice? Has it been once? Or twice?
I think it's been twice, and you popped in once.
Oh yeah, no, it has been twice because I was in an airport and I thought I couldn't make it, and then I was just there like texting, and then popped in. Yeah.
But anyway. I did miss you as well, I'm saying. That's probably white supremacy, though. So yeah, go on.
Definitely.
But the thing that I think is happening with Joe Biden is that while he's a repulsive and wrongdoing person in a billion ways, what's happening with him in terms of drugs, I'm sure on top of 1,000 other complications like, lobbyists and things of the sort, is that he thinks about his fucking son. And he's like, oh my God, what the fuck do I do about this? Why can't he be more like Bo, who is actually a worse person?
Yeah. The greatest thing Bo ever did for Joe Biden was die without health care.
Yeah. And then he's just like, well, what if we just put all of them into jail, but I can protect my son?
Yep.
Like, what if we just put everyone that does crack into a hole in the ground, and then my son, because he's the one that has the fucking, he's the perfect little boy. He won't fall into the ground, and all of them will suffer, and he'll be free. Like that, I think, is what's happening in his adult brain.
That's definitely what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'll move on.
Which structurally just continues the idea that any substance consumption, once you're outside of a certain economic class, is completely acceptable, or at least just a hiccup, right? So,
which is why I love him doing crack instead
of coke. Are you guys implying that the rich don't have the same like, I don't know,
not held to the same law?
Yeah, they don't have the same standards as everybody else. Is that maybe what you guys are saying?
Wasn't it Richard Pryor who said black people smoke crack and white people freebase?
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think what Danko is like interested in is the fact that that Hunter is just like, fuck this, I'm doing crack. Like,
of course.
Like it's because like, and I think this, I'm not sure what the broader views of doing a bunch of drugs on this, but
do drugs.
Yeah, we're not anti-drug at all. We're anti Joe Biden puts people in jail for drugs.
Yeah,
and
so
then excuses his own son.
Like from the Australian view, like drugs are so expensive, like illegal drugs, like as well, like so expensive here, like so, like the coke, speed, crack, whatever, like cocaine is just
great access to ketamine though.
No, well,
my buddies out there just love ketamine.
Maybe not when I was at I've done.
I know coke is really hard to get out there. It's really hard to get.
You can get it. It's just crazy,
or like really expensive. Yeah.
So, but basically, speed disappeared, which was a medium ground, and now do you want to do crack? Even crack's expensive. And by crack, no, maybe crack isn't what I think. Ice is becoming more and more expensive, and it's much more destructive, I guess, than cocaine. But you're doing it in lieu of that in some sense.
Yeah.
And weed, I don't know if I'd call it expensive or not, but it's certainly you can't just get it. Like I think in a lot of states where you guys are, and also because America's so big, it's hard for me to say where you guys are.
Well,
I don't know what
I
don't know what it's like.
To interrupt you, I do know that every American city that I've been in, every major one, every time I've met an Australian, they've always been like, "Where the fuck can I get Coke?" And then as soon as they find it, they do a huge amount of it. So
yeah, because we pay like you pay in Australia, you pay $300 for about a bump, and then which is a lie. Like it's fucking, you get more than, but it's crazy expensive.
I'm about to lose my fucking
No,
mind.
that's a joke, but it's crazy expensive. Like you're not having a night for $300, and also I've never had $300 for a night.
Right,
but my life isn't worth $300. But yeah, no, it's. But yeah, like this whole idea of like crack and like, I guess like I think it's a different chemical compound, but here we have ice, and I live in social housing, and I don't know what that means to you guys, but it means I live with a lot of I live with a lot of people who are on, I guess, low cost amphetamines or low cost psychotropics, and well, it's amphetamines because the one piggybacks on the other. The addiction is to the amphetamine style drug, and it's fucking wild. And if they were on a better class of drug like amphetamine, then like just think about like you can think about the Freudian cokehead in the 1900s, a bourgeois coke guy who's on pure, and even William Burroughs, like on pure medical grade amphetamine. You're not poisoned, like you're raising your heartbeat. You're probably going to die years earlier because of just the human heart only lasts so long, but you're not poisoning yourself with other shit. Sorry, I'm getting excited about the wrong things here.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I live in this building.
Versus
kids don't know how to smoke crack these days.
Yo,
I mean,
back when
don't even smoke crack.
Back in those only 2 times that I ever actually smoked ice, yeah, I needed to be taught, and I paid attention to my ice smoking elders at the time.
I got a little glass rose, and I brought it home with me, and then
I smoked it. I smoked it off foil because we weren't fancy.
I mean, generally like foil in a little like Brillo wrap kind of thing, or
I don't know what Brillo wrap is.
It's just not. It's not even a wrap. It's just it's like
and also is
the metal that you use to like scrub pots and pans, but it's made of copper.
Oh, steel wool.
Okay, no.
Like steel wool, but it's copper. It's like
oh no, we have
like
steel
wool or
wool.
something. Yeah.
What did you say? Did you say daddy?
Yeah, there's like scrub daddy or something is what we call it out here. So out here, if you want to go ahead and smoke pretty much any kind of drug,
I'm sorry, Dave.
Steel wool is like an okay option, but you can both spend less money and get a better effect if you do it off of the copper wool, essentially, which is called like, I forget what it's called. Something daddy, I think. Scrub daddy. I don't think scrub daddy's it. I think that's a different thing. That's like a scrub pad that has a face, but maybe I'm putting the word daddy on it for some reason, but it's this copper one. Instead. Are you
doing this for your Australian audience so they know?
No.
Yeah.
Just anyone that wants to smoke crack, okay? And if you want to do it, you got to get the copper stuff.
International smoke crackism.
Yeah. Anyway, let's
because
all right, gentlemen.
I know I'll never
one
have
more
the money to visit you guys, but if I ever did, if we ever get through like the Lima loop, we can smoke some crack.
God, I hope so.
I'll bring some ice. You guys bring crack, and we'll compare.
I was a big.
Sounds like a deal that we won't admit in front of the CIA.
Is this the wrong thing to do at Christmas? Ice is part of snow. Deebs, ice and snow. I'm just talking about.
I'm not criticizing you guys. I promise.
Tis a season to be jolly.
Yeah. But I think we have reached the
take
point.
Mike's medicine.
Shut
Good
the
night,
fuck
and
up!
fuck
God
my
damn it,
ass.
we haven't even reached that point.
I thought, Jesus, I fuck it up every time.
You do on purpose.
How dare you?
More often than not. Danko, before we leave, would you like to give any pitches? Good Truncata Workshop, TRUNCAT, in the middle do the thing. Yeah, go ahead, say it.
More or less got it. So we're finishing up the Truncata Workshop. So go off into Patreon. Patreon.com/TRUNCATA Truncata. So what we have planned right now is pretty fun, I think, which is that we're finishing the fascism workshop this upcoming Saturday. So tomorrow, if this comes out, in fact, in time,
it will.
And then after that, we're covering another eroticism workshop, which I think will continue, but we're talking about how we want to organize that. And then there is a workshop that I want to do that is very special. It is way more comically oriented. I can't tell you what it is. I feel like the joke is present in the text itself. But in the end, if you like sketch comedy and you like stupid bullshit, you will really like this. So we'll be focusing on that at least for one workshop, and then we'll go ahead and branch out and try out a whole lot of other things before starting off something new. Otherwise, check out Operaciones publication. So check them out on Instagram. Both Mike and I are doing some work for them. It is just Operaciones. Am I remembering that right?
.editorial.
.editorial. So check them out, and then otherwise, yeah, that's it for me.
All right, Mujahideen, Brad, or Luke, do you have anything you want to pitch?
Follow my Instagram and Twitter, MR_Danzens.
Yeah, all right.
I guess I'm at Dollars and Dragons. I post not that much. Yeah, I got nothing to pitch.
Great.
Another reminder, though, like as an addition to that pitch, which is simply that Dollars and Dragons is simply like one of the best theory-oriented pages, like even pre-theorygram pages that I've followed. And though Luke doesn't
proto-theoriosis,
it's always beautiful, and oftentimes it references us.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be greedy and say check that out. It's really wonderful. And again, Luke was an inspiration to me before I started any of this stuff, and so it's really wonderful having them here. So
yes. And we will
can
hopefully...
I just say?
Go ahead.
Sorry,
No!
Deebs. Like
no.
Deebs, should I not? Okay, I won't.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
Don't listen.
Deebs, like I am like dudes. This is like my favorite podcast at this point in time. I love you guys so much, and I was so blown away to be asked to be on. And I know that Theorygram and Instagram blah blah has an aversion to sincerity, but I've loved you dudes for a long time, and maybe so if this is cringe or I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff because I'm old as fuck. So glad to have been on, and I'm sorry. I feel like we got through basically none of the links.
Nope.
And I'm in some sense so glad to have been part of that, but also hate myself for stopping this. But I do feel like it was time to a point. So thanks
we believe
for
in
letting me be me.
We believe in radical love on this platform. So
and I will say, based on the previous pitches that I gave, that Luke will be coming onto the Truncata podcast, which you can check out again through patreon.com/Truncata. I'm dying. Okay.
I'm going to give you, if that happens, I will tell you why
free.
It's okay that Lovecraft did what he did. And it's not because you think it's not because of what you think, unless it's because you think that I'm a white guy And then yes, it's absolutely
It sucks
that.
because we're gonna do the same thing. So we'll have to find some way to disagree. But Luke is on the schedule to come onto the Trincata podcast to talk about Lovecraft. We have a few others. We also have Cyborgasm. So cyborg.asm. Frankly, she's grown so quickly that you're probably already following her if you follow me, as well as a few other people. But we'll have all that going on. So Luke, if you want to get into some genuine stuff, we'll talk about that along with all of our fish person talk.
I don't know what genuine means, but sure, let's do it.
Neither do I. So,
all right. Well, I'll give my sign off. As always,
sign off?
The Benzo Rehab Dungeon is and will always be a free broadcast. If you like what we're doing here, please go to patreon.com/Benzo Rehab Dungeon. Give as little or as much as you like. It won't get you anything special, but we do appreciate it. That being said, as always, we love you. Please take your medicine.
Bye-bye.
Dorian, you're the next one in line.
What?
You got to do the sign-off thing, man. Come on.
Yeah. So, you too, I guess.
Jesus Christ.
Wait, can I ask a thing here though? Like, when John says, "Oh, and save some for your friends."
Do it.
What about when you don't have friends?
It's for you.
Or, like,
we're not going to ask that question. You have to deliver a sign off in the next 10 seconds, or you're done.
Show us your hole.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Goblin
10.
balls.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.